As the story continues from Willowbrook Adventure, Book 3, Secrets Beneath the Village, into Willowbrook Adventure, Book 4, The Battle for the Village, where the hidden truths uncovered deep beneath the village rise into a full battle for its survival. We want to take a moment to sincerely thank you for your patience, support, and belief in this journey, and also apologize for the delay in bringing you this audiobook due to being busy and unwell during its creation, as this has been a long and carefully crafted 3-hour adventure brought to life with passion and dedication. And while we explored using AI voices for the characters to enhance the experience, the technology is not yet advanced enough to fully understand and distinguish between voices such as male and female or capture the depth of emotion each character deserves. But we remain hopeful that in the future, these tools will evolve and grow alongside this world as the story continues to unfold. And we're also excited to share that the Before the Chronicles series ebooks are currently in the works and are planned to release on the Amazon ebook store in September 2026, with the Magic Rabbit Chronicles series also coming to paperback in December 2026, marking the next exciting step in this ever-growing universe. 3 ended with the village uneasy but determined, the tunnels mapped, the runes copied, and the chamber's secret left undisturbed. For now. Now, in Book 4, The Battle for the Village. The morning after the discovery, the prophecy's shadow hangs over every doorstep. Elder Matthias rallies the villagers, ordering walls strengthened, gates reinforced, and supplies readied. From the forest's edge, Ray's forces gather. Thorn beasts, blood roots, abyssal guardians, and other horrors, each wave testing the courage of Willowbrook's defenders. But the siege will bring more than just enemies. In the heart of battle, the ancient seal beneath the village will break, and Sapphire, the dragon of legend, will rise. She will fight alongside Willowbrook for a time. And when the Wisping Veil abandons Ray for a new host, the true danger will begin. Chapter 1. The Morning After. The sun rose slow and hazy over Willowbrook, painting the cottages with a tired gold. Smoke from the night's hearths drifted in thin lines, curling past signboards and the chimneys of the bakery and the inn. The square felt different today, quieter, as if the village itself were holding its breath. Elder Matthias stood beneath the great elm in the center of the square. His staff, carved with old runes, rested against his palm. Around him, villagers gathered in a soft circle, children clutching hands, parents whispering, and the village animals pacing with nervous steps. Elder Matthias, we meet at dawn, because the tunnels spoke at dusk. The warning was clear. The siege of dawn is not a tale, it is a timetable. A flutter of wings cut the silence. Whisper the Owl swooped down to the elm's lowest branch and blinked once, slowly, as if to agree. Mia. Elder Matthias? If the siege comes at dawn, do we have only today to prepare? Elder Matthias. We prepare for dawns, plural. The prophecy names a season of trial, not a single sunrise. Beth. Legends start as footprints. We've found the first ones. Beth, the storyteller, tucked a stray curl behind her ear. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with respect for old things waking. From the bakery door, warm bread scent drifted out, but even that comfort felt thinner than usual. Henry stepped out, wiping flour from his hands onto his apron. Henry. If danger walks our roads, people will need food in their pockets as much as hope in their hearts. I'll bake until the woodpile's gone. Nora. Herbs and salves will be ready in my cottage. I saw dread ravens at the tree line before dawn. They were circling, counting. The children glanced toward the dark edge of the Enchanted Forest. A breeze, cool and spring bright yesterday, slid over the rooftops, now carrying the dry, hollow scent of leaves turned under. Tobias. Gates first, walls second. Then we lattice the alleys so nothing slips through. Gareth. With me. Gareth. I'll fetch tools and iron spikes from the forge. If a thorn beast thinks it can chew through Willowbrook, it'll lose its teeth. Bramble, the gentle bear, lumbered from behind the carpenter's shed. He gave a soft huff, low and friendly, and nudged a stacked beam with his nose as if to say, "Point me where you want this." Leo. Elder. The runes yesterday. I think I could read more if I go back with better light. The marks looked like map lines, not just warnings. Elder Matthias. Maps of danger are also maps of safety, if traced by the right hands. Take Mia and Finn, and take Whisper. Do not go alone. Mia. We'll go straight to the Whispering Hall and be back before midday. Finn. I'll carry the lantern. And the chalk, and the biscuits. Henry. I'll tuck extra biscuits in. Courage eats too. Laughter bubbled up around them, thin but real. The sound made the square feel more like itself. From the inn porch, Isla waved a cloth to get attention. A group of children, Lucy, Elliot, Rosie, Ben, Sophie, sat on the steps, legs swinging, faces set in brave masks. Isla. The common room is open. Anyone who needs a place to rest or plan, come in. There's broth warming and tables cleared. Freya. Healer's corner will be by the hearth. I've boiled water and laid out clean cloth. A shadow slid over the square. They all looked up. A dread raven crossed the sun, gliding wide, then tilted and vanished beyond the rooftops. Whisper's feathers ruffled, and the owl's head tilted until both eyes fixed on the forest. Whisper. Who? Beth. Even the air is listening. Elder Matthias. Then we speak sense into it. He lifted his staff, and the carved runes gleamed pale, like dew in shade. Elder Matthias. Willowbrook will not be a story of running. We will be a story of standing. Work in pairs, speak in truth, and remember, the enemy thrives where we are alone. They broke formation gently, like snow melting into streams. Gareth and Tobias strode toward the eastern gate with Bramble padding behind. Henry returned to his ovens. Nora hurried across the square, basket bumping her hip. On the far side, Jacob the gardener knelt by the village beds, pressing a palm to the soil as if listening for roots that could carry messages. Mia, Finn, and Leo crossed to the stone stair that led down to the tunnels. Whisper glided ahead, a slip of grey and white, a moving lantern without flame. At the top step, Mia paused and looked back. Mia. Elder Matthias, if the Siege of Dawn is a whole season, how do we know when it starts? Elder Matthias. When you feel the morning in your bones, and the chill won't shake loose. When the forest stops answering its own birds. A sound shivered through the air, soft, far off, and wrong. It was like a howl wrapped in cloth, muffled and low, but every head in the square lifted at once. Freya. That's him. Gareth. Ray. Elder Matthias. Into the work. The three children descended, their footfalls ticking on the steps. The tunnel mouth breathed cool air, smelling of old earth and candle smoke. Their lantern lit the chalk marks they'd made yesterday, arrows, circles, and careful initials, breadcrumbs of light. Finn. Lantern steady, chalk in pocket, Biscuits, safe. Right. Leo. Whisper. Show us the hall. They passed the tunnel of echoes, where even a cough returned as a chorus. They turned at the gloom passage, where the walls were streaked with iron like dried tears. At last, they reached the whispering hall, wide and low, its ceiling scalloped with time. The runes the three had found yesterday waited on the far wall, still faintly glowing in the lantern's edge. Mia. There. The bottom line, you said it looks like a map. Leo. Look, the dashes curve like the river bend, and these dots could be the old stones along the west fence. If that's true, then this mark here is... Finn. The gate. Whisper. Who? Leo traced the curve with a finger, then stopped. Leo. And this symbol repeats. Here and here, and here. 3 times. Like a rhythm. Mia. Like waves? Leo. Like attacks. The lantern flame fluttered. A cool breath slid across their ankles as if the tunnel was sighing. Finn. Let's copy it. Fast. They sketched the runes as carefully as their shaking hands allowed. Above them, footsteps thudded. Soft, steady, organized. The village was moving in patterns of purpose. Back in the square, Tobias and Gareth measured the eastern gate with a length of dyed rope. Bramble braced his bulk against a beam, while Tobias wedged a crossbar into place. Tobias. Hold there, Bramble. Good. We lash the top with iron wire. Gareth. Spikes. Gareth. Spikes! He hammered, each strike ringing like a bell. Between strikes, the world felt too quiet. Dahlia. I've brought hinges, pins, and a basket of odds, really. If something needs a thing that isn't a thing, I have it. Gareth. Odds become armor in a pinch. Lay them out. At the market lane, Henry handed out small wrapped bundles. Henry. 1 loaf per household, 2 if you've got children. Eat half now, half later. Lucy. We can help carry. Henry. Then be my heroes, Lucy. Take these to Freya. Lucy and Elliot hurried the bread toward the inn. Freya met them at the door, sleeves rolled, hair tied back, eyes steady. Freya. Thank you. Place them by the hearth. Rosie, bring one to Elder Matthias. Rosie took the loaf with both hands and walked carefully, as if carrying a promise. Nora knelt by a crate of vials and bundles of leaves. She crushed a sprig between her fingers and breathed in. Nora. Yarrow for cuts, marigold for infection, willow bark for pain, and courage. We'll steep that from Henry's kindness. From the roof of the great hall, Whisper landed again. The owl looked toward the forest and gave a single, small sound. Whisper. Who? Elder Matthias. Report. Isla jogged across the square, braid bouncing. Isla. Scouts on the north path say the deer won't cross the old footbridge. They stand and stare at it like there's a wall we can't see. Elder Matthias. The forest is drawing lines. Jacob. Then we draw ours deeper. He stood, soil marking his knees, and walked to the edge of the green. With his heel, he drew a line in the dirt pointing to the eastern gate, then another to the market lane. Jacob. Paths for moving, breaks for hiding. If we must run, we run like water. A sudden clatter snapped every head toward the blacksmith's lane. Gareth had dropped a tool, not from clumsiness, but because he was listening. The far trees moved with a wind that wasn't the village's. Gareth. Hear that? They all did. A hush, not empty, but filled with the soft crackle of leaves shifting in unison. The sound rolled forward and then stopped, like a tide feeling its way onto a strange beach. Elder Matthias. No panic, no noise, work and watch. The children's footsteps returned from the stair as Mia, Finn, and Leo hurried across the square. Leo held up the chalked copy of the runes. Leo. 3 waves. East Gate, Market Lane, then the Great Hall. Mia. It's a pattern, like the enemy wants to break us where our lines cross. Finn. And there's a symbol we didn't see yesterday. Here. It looks like a lock. Elder Matthias. Or a door. Freya's eyes flicked toward the lane that led to the old cellar steps, the way into the deeper tunnels. Freya. The sealed chamber? Beth. Stories say what is sealed is often sealed for a reason. Tobias. Reasons don't stop us if the village is burning. Elder Matthias. No, but reasons make us careful. He took the chalked sheet, weighed it with his gaze, then lifted his staff. The runes etched along its length shimmered again. Elder Matthias. Assignments. Gareth, Tobias. Finish the gate. Dahlia, stay with them. Henry and Isla, kitchens and quarters. Nora and Freya, healer's circle. Jacob, mark lanes and cover. Beth, keep the children steady with the truth, not the comfort of lies. Leo, Mia, Finn, guard the stairs. No one goes down without word from me. All murmured. I. The wind shifted. This time it brought the sharp resin tang of broken pine, the dust of trampled bark, and under it all, a scent like wet metal. Whisper. Who? Elder Matthias. They are closer than their shadows. The dread raven returned, lower now, and swept a circle above the square. It gave a harsh croak, as if marking the village with its voice, and then banked toward the forest again. Beyond the roofs, at the far edge of the fields, something dark slipped between 2 ash trees and was gone. Mia. Elder. Elder Matthias. I know. He planted his staff, and a small, clean sound rang from the wood, like glass touched by rain. Elder Matthias. Remember who we are. We are Willowbrook. We make bread when there is no wheat, and courage when there is no light. When the first wave comes, we will bend like grass and not break. When the second comes, we will hold like stone. And when the third comes... He looked up, past the elm's leaves, to the pale, watchful sky. Elder Matthias. We will be ready to open what must be opened. No one answered, but the square itself seemed to settle. The village breathed as one. Hammers rang, water boiled, chalk lines brightened. In the tunnels, the lantern burned steady, and the rune that looked like a lock waited in the dark, still only a shape. On the forest's edge, far enough that only Whisper's eyes could be sure, a wolf watched with a gaze like a storm about to choose a road. Whisper. Soft. Who? The morning moved forward, and the day after it. Chapter 2. Signs of War. Morning light had barely touched the eastern hills when the first warning came. The children on watch duty at the south fence shouted their voices sharp enough to slice through the early quiet. Lucy. Ravens. Big ones. Coming from the forest. Elder Matthias was already walking the square when the call came. He lifted his staff and tapped it twice against the stones, the signal for every villager to gather. Elder Matthias. Eyes to the sky. Speak what you see. The villagers looked up. High above, a circle of dread ravens wheeled, black wings blotting pieces of the pale sky. They weren't hunting, they were watching. Nora. They're scouts, spies for what's moving in the forest. Gareth. Aye. And where scouts fly, the army's not far behind. Henry. I'll keep the ovens going. Soldiers can't fight on empty stomachs. Elder Matthias. Do so. Feed the heart and the body both. From the far end of the square, Tobias jogged in, sawdust clinging to his sleeves. Tobias. Eastern gates braced, but it won't hold if an abyssal guardian leans on it. Gareth. Then we make it so it can. I'll fetch more iron. A sharp who made them all turn. Whisper sat on the roof of the great hall, his feathers puffed out against the wind. The owl's golden eyes locked on the forest. Whisper. Who? Mia stepped forward, clutching her cloak. Mia. That's the same look he had before Ray came last time. Elder Matthias. Then trust the owl. Trust the warning. The wind shifted suddenly, carrying a foul, damp scent, like moss left too long in the dark. Nora. That smell. Thorn beasts. I'd know it anywhere. The children stiffened. Stories of thorn beasts filled winter nights, but this was no story. Finn. If they're here, they'll try the fences first. Elder Matthias. Then we strengthen them. Now. He pointed his staff toward the village gates. Gareth, Tobias, and Bramble moved as one, hauling beams and metal fittings. Jacob marked the ground in front of the walls with chalk, creating paths for defenders to move quickly between posts. At the edge of the market lane, Beth gathered the children. Beth. Eyes sharp, voices loud. If you see anything move where it shouldn't, shout like you've just seen a ghost steal your supper. Oliver. That loud? Easy. Rosie. I'll watch the north lane. Max, you with me? Max. Always. From the western path came Isla, skirts dusty from the road. Isla. The deer are gone, the glades empty. Even the streams sound wrong. Freya. Nature's holding its breath. Elder Matthias. Which means the forest knows before we do. Another cry split the air. Not from the sky this time, but from the east fence. Quentin, shouting from a distance. Movement in the trees! Elder Matthias. Positions! Villagers scattered to their posts. From the shadow of the tree line, shapes began to form. First, the hunched outlines of night crawlers, their eyes glinting red in the half-light. Then the shifting vines of bloodroots, dragging themselves forward like serpents. Gareth, gritting his teeth. This isn't the full army. This is them testing our walls. Elder Matthias. Then let's show them we bite. The first wave stopped just short of the fence. For a moment, the air hung still. Then the dread ravens shrieked in unison and the night crawlers charged. Tobias. Hold the line! Wood groaned. Vines writhed. Iron nails screeched against the strain. And above it all, that shrieking, circling, never-blinking flock kept watch, waiting for the true assault to come. Chapter 3. The Great Hall Meeting. The heavy oak doors of the great hall shut with a dull thud, shutting out the cries of the dread ravens. Inside, the air smelled faintly of smoke from the morning's hearth fire, mixed with the tang of damp cloaks and nervous breath. Every bench was filled. Villagers stood along the walls, shoulders touching. The floorboards groaned under the weight of worry. Elder Matthias stepped to the front, his staff in hand. The carved runes along its length caught the firelight, flickering like restless stars. Elder Matthias. You've all seen the signs. The forest stirs, the sky watches, and the first wave has tested our strength. We must decide now, stand and fight, or abandon the homes our hands built. A murmur rolled through the hall. Gareth was the first to rise. Gareth. Leave? Not while I can hold a hammer. These gates were built by our parents, and they'll stand as long as we do. Henry. Gareth's right. We run once, we'll be running forever. From the healer's bench, Freya spoke, her voice calm but sharp. Freya. And if we fight without planning, we'll fill the healer's beds faster than I can mend wounds. Tobias. Then we plan. We know the first wave will break on the gates if they're ready. Bramble's strength and Gareth's spikes will see to that. Nora. And if they don't come for the gates first? All eyes turned to her. She set down a bundle of herbs on the table, the green leaves glistening from rain. Nora. The bloodroots we saw this morning, those grow from seeds. Someone's planting them inside the forest. If they're inside the village before the main attack. Jacob. Then our walls won't matter. Beth. So we guard not just the walls, but the soil under our feet. Elder Matthias. We post watchers in the gardens and along the market lane. Anything that moves where it shouldn't is to be cut before it roots. Leo leaned forward, excitement under the edge of his voice. Leo. The runes we copied in the tunnels. 3 waves, 3 entry points. East Gate, Market Lane, Great Hall. We can split defenders into 3 groups, rotate them as the waves come. Mia. And we use the tunnels to move between points faster than the enemy can. Finn. If we trust the tunnels. Beth. Sometimes you have to walk the dark path to reach the light. Elder Matthias. We'll trust them when the time comes. For now, we prepare every path, above and below. From the back, Quentin crossed his arms. Quentin. If Ray himself comes, how do we fight him? A hush fell. Even the fire seemed to dim. Silverpaw, the wolf ally, stepped from the shadows near the hall's side door. His silver-marked fur caught the firelight, and his amber eyes locked on Quentin. Silverpaw. You won't. I will. Gareth. You'd face him alone? Silverpaw. I've faced him before. His strength is not his teeth, it's the veil in his chest. If I can drive him from the gates, your fight will be with the pack, not the shadow inside him. Elder Matthias? Then Silverpaw will guard the east gate, the rest of you, to your stations. The benches scraped as the villagers rose. Isla approached the front, a folded parchment in her hand. Isla. This came from a trader passing through at dawn. He said the forest road was empty. Too empty. Not even the wind moved. Nora. The calm before the storm. Elder Matthias. Then the storm is near. He planted his staff in the floor, and the runes flared once. Elder Matthias. This meeting is done. Work until the light fails. Tonight, we bar the doors. The doors of the great hall opened, spilling them back into the square. Above, the dread ravens still circled, silent now, their black shapes cutting the afternoon sky like warnings written in shadow. Chapter 4. Runes of Prophecy. The sky stayed pale as milk all morning, as if the day refused to fully arrive. In the square, hammers rang and kettles steamed. On the roofs, children watched the tree line with narrowed eyes. Beneath all of it, like a quiet second heartbeat, the tunnels waited. Elder Matthias. Mia. Leo, Finn. Back to the runes. Learn what they mean, not just what they say. Whisper will guide you. Freya. Take this salve and this cord. If you scrape a knee, you clean it. If you get lost, tie a line. Nora. And take yarrow. It smells bitter, but it keeps fear from making the hands shake. Mia. Thank you. We'll be quick. Leo. We'll be careful. Finn. We'll try to be both. Whisper dropped from the elm and swept low over their heads, then banked toward the stone stair that led down. The lantern flame bobbed in Mia's hand. The three paused at the threshold, listening to the village above. Voices, tools, a baby's brief cry, then stepped into the cool breath of the earth. The tunnel swallowed sound. Candle stubs wedged into cracks painted the walls with warm, uncertain light. Their chalk marks from yesterday glowed ghost white where the dust was darkest. Finn. Left at the Tunnel of Echoes, right at Gloom Passage, straight past the Veil of Memories. Leo. And the Whispering Hall at the end. Whisper. Who? They walked. The ground sloped, then levelled, then opened into the chamber where etched stone arced like the ribs of a sleeping beast. The Whispering Hall. On the far wall, the runes waited. Slender lines, hooked marks, dots like seeds, older than Willowbrook, older than stories. Mia. They're brighter than yesterday. Leo. No. The lantern's lower. Shadows pull the letters forward. Look, this curve is exactly the river bend. Finn. And these dots. The old fence stones. Leo raised the parchment with yesterday's sketch. He set it against the wall, lined it up, and frowned. Leo. There are marks we didn't see. Here and here. Mia. Because yesterday we were standing there. The angle hid them. Finn. Or the runes didn't want to be seen yet. Whisper hopped from Mia's shoulder to the stone shelf, tilted his head, and pecked the wall twice. Tap tap, precisely where Leo pointed. Whisper. Who? Leo. 3 waves. East Gate, Market Lane, Great Hall. That much holds. But these smaller marks, triangles in a circle, what are they? Mia. Warnings? Finn. Teeth? Leo. Keys? The word hung, light as dust. Mia touched the stone beneath the new symbols. The rock was cool, gritty, and she snatched her hand back. Mia. It's warm. Just there. Finn. The wall is warm? Leo pressed his palm flat beside hers. The warmth was the softness of a breath beneath stone. Leo. Not the wall. The line inside it. From the left of the hall came a thin scuff, like cloth brushed by a careful hand. The three froze. Whisper turned, feathers rising. Out from a crack near the floor slipped a ragged silhouette. A murk sprite, no taller than Finn's knee, its eyes green like bottle glass. Finn, whispering. Do we talk to it? Mia. No talking. We got in trouble last time. The sprite sniffed the air, blinked at the lantern, and flitted along the opposite wall, dragging a finger through dust as if writing its own secret letters. Whisper snapped his beak once. The sprite squeaked, bolted into the crack, and the tunnel swallowed it. Finn. I was going to say hello. Whisper. Who? Leo. Later we can say hello. Today we need to read. He squinted at the new symbols, traced them on fresh parchment, and then took out a small bottle of water. Finn. Thirsty? Leo. No. Watch. He dabbed a fingertip and dragged the droplet along the thinnest line in the rune cluster. The water darkened the groove, and something else bloomed under it, as if the stroke drank and woke a second. Hidden ink. A faint spiral unfurled, scaled, elegant, unmistakable. Mia, that's a coil. Finn, like a sleeping snake. Leo, like a dragon. For a breath, all four, 3 children and 1 owl, stood very still. The lantern flames sighed. Mia, the sealed chamber. Leo, the mark on its door was a coil too. We thought it meant danger. Maybe it means answer. Finn, answers can be dangerous. Whisper hopped closer to the spiral and brushed it with the edge of his wing. The dust lifted. Underneath, tiny dots ringed the coil, 3 evenly spaced, then a 4th, separate, set above like a star. Leo. 3 and 1. Waves and a dawn. Mia. Or 3 keys and a lock. Finn. What if the keys are places, not things? Eastgate, Market Lane, Great Hall, and the lock is the chamber. Leo. And the dawn is the moment it opens. A low tremor rolled through the floor, so soft it could have been the earth clearing its throat. Dust shook from an old web. Far off, a drop of water fell. Tick, tick, tick. Mia. That wasn't our imagination. Whisper. Who? Finn. Maybe it was the village. Hammers. Gareth's spikes. Leo. Or waves. They copied the spiral and the ring of dots with shaking but careful hands. As Leo sketched the 4th, higher mark, he noticed faint script beneath, the smallest letters they had ever seen, so thin they were almost hair. Leo. There's text here. I need more light. Mia. I'll turn the lantern up. She raised the wick. The letters resolved, not into words they recognized, but into shapes that felt like instructions. A leaf, a droplet, a flame. Finn. Leaf. Water. Fire. Mia. Jacob. Ripple. Ember. Leo. Roots, river and phoenix, the village's strengths. Finn. 3 keys. Mia. To do what? Leo. Open the chamber. Or bind what's inside it. Whisper fluttered to the edge of the hall and stared down the side passage that sloped toward deeper dark. Whisper. Who? Mia. We should check the door. Finn. Elder Matthias said no one goes without his word. Mia. He also said we learn what the runes mean. Leo. We won't touch it. We'll look. They followed the side passage. The air cooled further. A vein of old quartz ran along the wall like a caught lightning bolt. The floor tipped downward, then levelled into a small antechamber with a ceiling low enough for Finn to touch. There, at the end, stood the sealed door. Stone fitted so perfectly it looked poured by time, not built by hands. In its centre, the coiled spiral in relief, dull as ash, patient as winter. Finn hushed. Hello again. Mia. It's the same symbol as in the hall. But here, look, the ring of dots is carved around it. Leo. 3 close, 1 apart. Mia. There's a cup-shaped hollow under each close dot, like waiting for something. Finn. Leaves, water, fire. A breath moved in the chamber that none of them made. The lantern guttered, recovered. For a moment, the carved spiral seemed to darken, then lighten, as if it had muscles under stone. Finn. Did it look at us? Leo. Stone can't look. Mia. But it can listen. From the direction of the square, faint and far, a horn sounded, one note, then another. The three turned their heads toward the sound, the way birds do, with the whole body. Mia. Signal. Leo. Second wave? Whisper. Who? Finn. We should go. Mia. Wait. She stepped closer, set the lantern low, and pressed her palm just beneath the lowest cup hollow. Not on the spiral, not on the dots, on the plain stone where no one had carved. Mia. We know you're there. We aren't here to steal you. We're here to keep our home. The stone kept its silence, but a warmth moved under Mia's skin, faint, like the feel of sunlight through cloud. Finn. Mia. Mia. I know. I'm done. She lifted her hand. The warmth faded. Whisper flared his wings and hopped back toward the passage. Whisper. Who? They retraced their steps at a trot. In the whispering hall, Leo tucked the sketches inside his vest. Finn looped the guide cord back into his satchel. Mia turned the lantern down to save oil. As they passed the veil of memories, a breeze rose along the floor, carrying the soft smell of river water. Ripple's realm. As they passed the tunnel of echoes, their footfalls multiplied into a crowd, so that for a heartbeat it sounded like the whole village was running with them. They climbed the stair into the square. The day had not brightened. The dread ravens were lower now. At the eastern gate, Garrett and Tobias stood braced. Bramble's shoulders filled the gap behind the crossbar like a living wall. Jacob smeared earth across his palms and traced quick lines at the base of the barricade, root shapes, protective and old. Elder Matthias. Report. Leo, holding out the parchment. 3 waves, 3 keys, leaf, water, fire, and a lock, the chamber. The marks say when the dawn comes, the coil answers. Mia. The wall was warm, Elder, and the door listened. Finn. And there were cup shapes, like places to put the keys. Not real keys, things, leaves, water, flame. Nora. Leaves we have by the basket. Water we have by the bucket. Flame we have by a phoenix's breath. Elder Matthias. We will not open doors because we are frightened. We will open doors because we are ready. Gareth. Ready or not, look. Beyond the gate, the tree line shifted. Vines like ropes slithered from the brush. Thorned heads lifted like wolves sniffing air. Between them padded low, shadow-black shapes with ember eyes, the night crawlers again, but more of them, and bolder. Above, the ravens wheeled and cried. Silverpaw, trotting to the gate. Positions. Elder Matthias. Leo, Mia, Finn, good work. Stay by the stairs. If I call for keys, bring Jacob, Ripple, and Ember to me. Mia. Elder. If the door opens. Elder Matthias. If it opens, it will be because we choose it, not because fear chooses us. He raised his staff. The runes along it kindled, faint as dew, firm as old oaths. Elder Matthias. Willowbrook, breathe. The village inhaled as one. Hammers fell quiet. The inn door clicked shut. The baker's peel slid across stone. Whisper took to the air, a grey arc against a grey sky, and circled once above the gate. Whisper. Who? The second wave moved. Chapter 5. Reinforcements. The first rumble came from the clouds, not the enemy. A low, growling roll of thunder that shook dust from the beams of the great hall. Then the rain came, sudden and heavy, turning the dirt lanes into rivers before the first drops had time to sink. Gareth. Storm's on our side. Can't see 10 paces in this. Elder Matthias. And neither can they, but storms hide teeth as well as shields. Lightning flashed white over the eastern gate. For a heartbeat, the tree line lit up. Silhouettes moving, vines writhing, shadow shapes prowling low. Night crawlers, bloodroots, and something taller, heavier, moving slow but steady through the rain. Tobias. Abyssal Guardian. It's here. The gate shuddered under a blow that felt more like an earthquake than an attack. Villagers braced it, boots sliding in the mud. Bramble planted himself like a boulder, growling low as the timbers groaned. From the south lane, a silver streak leapt into the rain. Silverpaw, slamming into a nightcrawler that had tried to climb the wall. Elder Matthias, call the keys. Now. From the shadows of the square, 3 figures emerged. Thistle, her antlers hung with rain, each drop glimmering faintly green. Ripple, sleek fur slicked to his body, eyes reflecting the lightning. Ember, wings tucked tight, a faint steam rising where the rain touched her feathers. Nora. You 3 shouldn't be here. Thistle. We were always meant to be here. The voice was soft, but it carried through the storm as if the rain bent around it. Ripple. The river's been restless for days. I know why now. Ember. The fire doesn't fear the dark. It fears being too late. Mia, to Leo, whispering. They sound like they know the prophecy. Leo, they are the prophecy. The 3 moved to the front lines without waiting for command. Thistle lowered her head, and her antlers glowed with a living green that shot through the mud, sprouting thorn walls that tangled the bloodroots mid-charge. Ripple leapt into the flood running down the market lane, the water around him swirling faster, rising into a wave that slammed into the night crawlers. Ember burst upward into the storm, a ring of flame chasing away the rain in her wake, before crashing down into the Abyssal Guardian's chest in a flash of light and steam. Gareth. By the forge. Look at them go. Elder Matthias. Do not cheer yet. This is only the second wave. A roar rose from the tree line, deeper than any wolf's call, more like stone grinding on stone. The dread ravens scattered upward in a black whirl, making room for something else. Finn. Elder. It's bigger than the Guardian. Elder Matthias. Then we stand taller. The storm seemed to lean toward the village now, wind shoving at cloaks and banners. Lightning ripped the sky in half, and for a breath the tree line was bare, then crowded again with shadows pouring forward. Thistle, under her breath. The second key will turn tonight. Ripple. And the third will follow before the moon changes. Ember. We will not break. Not while breath and flame remain. Mia felt her stomach turn cold. They weren't talking about winning. They were talking about giving. The rain fell harder. The gate rattled again, and the second wave slammed into Willowbrook. Chapter 6. The second wave. The storm finally found its voice. Thunder rolled over the rooftops like barrels down a hill, and rain came in quick, hard sheets that turned paths into shiny ribbons. The eastern gate shivered as the wind shouldered it, then steadied as villagers pressed their weight against the crossbar. Elder Matthias, hold the line. Breathe together. Gareth. 1, 2, Push. Tobias. Bramble. Lean in, friend. Bramble. The great bear pressed his shoulder to the beam until the wood stopped groaning. Above them, Whisper sliced the grey air in a tight circle, lantern-bright eyes scanning the field. Whisper. Who? Lucy. Message from the market lane. Vines are moving again. Elder Matthias. Jacob. Roots and lanes now. Jacob. On it. Jacob sketched quick, neat symbols in the mud, curling lines like leaves and tiny arrows like rain, then patted the ground as if thanking it. The water seemed to listen. It pooled where he pointed and rushed away from slick spots where feet needed to grip. A shriek tore the air as dread ravens swept low. In the rain's glare, hunched shapes broke from the tree line. The night crawlers came first, bodies low, eyes ember red. Behind them slid bloodroots, their thorny tendrils wriggling over mud. Gareth. Eyes up. Tobias. Spears ready? Silverpaw. With me. Silverpaw bounded forward and met the first nightcrawler with a quick, clean shove that sent it tumbling back into its pack. It scrambled up, confused, then fled as Silverpaw flashed his teeth, not to draw blood, but to show courage that couldn't be bitten. Elder Matthias, keys to the front, now. Through the rain stepped Thistle, Ripple, and Ember. The storm bowed a little around them, the way a crowd parts for heroes. Nora. Careful. Watch your footing. Thistle. We were made for storms. Ripple. And storms were made for rivers. Ember. And for fire to remember who it is. Mia, whispering. They're so calm. Leo, whispering. They understand the runes better than we do. Thistle lowered her antlers. A soft, leaf-green light travelled down to the ground, and new hedges burst up in a quick, safe tangle. High enough to slow nightcrawlers, soft enough not to cut anyone who brushed past. Gareth. That'll do! Thank you, Thistle! Ripple leapt into a guttering stream that raced along the lane. The water rose like a friendly wall, curving into a clear shield that pushed the bloodroots sideways and rinsed their thorn tips dull. Finn. Whoa! Did you see that? Beth. Write it in your memory. We'll tell it right later. Ember beat her wings once and rose above the gate. Rain hissed where it touched her feathers, turning to steam that trailed like pale ribbons. She spun, quick as a spark, and drew a bright ring in the sky. When she dove, the ring followed, landing at the feet of the nightcrawlers and blooming into harmless, dazzling light. The creatures blinked and shuffled, suddenly unsure where to go. Isla. That's it. Dazzle them, Ember. Ember. Light finds the way. The eastern fence jolted as something vast shouldered the hedges aside. A dark shape pushed through the rain, taller than a wagon, slow as a mountain shifting. Tobias. Abyssal Guardian. Elder Matthias. Steady. No panic. The Guardian's heavy arm came down on the hedge and sent leaves flying like confetti. The crossbar jumped under the blow. Bramble growled and leaned harder. Gareth. Spikes. Left. Dahlia. Pins. Dahlia. Pins! Dahlia slid along the rail with a small wooden box and popped it open. Odd little bits, hooks, rings, and clever folded clips glinted inside. Dahlia. I brought the wrong things that turned out right. Gareth. Perfect. He hammered a ring into place and hooked a chain through. When the Guardian struck again, the chain sang but held. The gate shuddered, not broke. On the square's far side, A rope ladder slipped on its pegs, and a villager tumbled from a low wall into soft mud. Rosie. Healer. Freya. Here! Freya and Nora reached him in a breath. He sat up, muddy and blinking, holding his wrist. Freya. Easy now. Wiggle your fingers. Nora. Good. Just a twist, not a break. Wrap, breathe, back behind the line. Villager. I can still carry planks. Freya. Then carry 2, slowly. A bloodroot slapped across the market lane and snagged Isla's skirt hem. She yelped, stumbled, and caught herself on a barrel. Isla. I'm fine. Just snagged. Max. I've got it. Max sliced the vine with a careful whack from a dull practice blade. The plant slid away with a wet whisper. No harm done. Isla. Thank you, hero. Max. Any time. Lightning cracked, and for a heartbeat the world turned white. When colour returned, venom claw webs glittered across the alley like shiny ropes. Leo. Don't touch the webs. Elder Matthias. Ripple. Wash the alley clean. Ripple. With pleasure. Ripple swirled his paws, and the flood obeyed, running laughing over the cobbles and whisking the webs away like ribbon in a river. The alley shone, safe and clear. Quentin, from the wall. Right side, crawlers pushing the hedge. Thistle. Rest now, little hedge. Grow stronger there. Thistle tilted her head, and the hedge knelt like a bowing friend, then sprang up again, thicker and kinder, pressing the night crawlers back without a scratch. The Abyssal Guardian's next blow rattled the whole gate and jarred Gareth's grip. He hissed and shook his hand, then grinned at the others. Gareth. Almost had me letting go. Almost. Tobias. We don't do almosts today. Bramble. Bramble dug his claws for purchase and gave a pushing huff that sounded like a bellows. The crossbar settled, the rings and clips held, and the gate sighed in relief. Elder Matthias. Rotate. First line switch with second. Children, messages only. No heroics. Lucy. Yes, Elder. Ava. On your left, Henry. Henry. Thanks, love. Henry swept a long peel like a wooden oar, guiding people back from the slickest spots and passing out warm rolls with his free hand. Henry. Eat. Courage needs crumbs. Beth. Remember your feet. The ground is your friend. A night crawler leapt the hedge and met Silverpaw in mid-air. The two landed and rolled. Silverpaw pushed the creature away with a smart shoulder bump and a gentle nip that said, "Not today." The crawler scrambled up and fled, slipping, tail between legs. Silverpaw. Back to the shadows. Mia. He's so fast. Finn. And careful. Leo. And kind, even in a battle. Rain pounded harder. The storm felt closer now, as if listening to the village breathe. Ember circled above the gate again, tracing a line of warm light that soothed shivers and made hands steadier. Ember. Hold steady, Willowbrook. Nora. We're doing it. We're really doing it. Freya. We are. Keep those bandages moving. Elise, near the inn, softly. I can play a note. Elder Matthias. One clear note, then back under. Elise raised a small wooden flute and lifted a bright, clean tone into the rain. It hung for a moment like a little sun, and even the dread ravens hesitated before cawing again. Whisper. Who? The Abyssal Guardian drew its arm back for another strike. Before it fell, Thistle stepped forward and touched the gate with the tip of her antler. Thistle. Root and branch, remember your strength. The wood answered with a low creak that sounded almost like a pleased sigh. The Guardian's blow landed, and the gate held. Gareth. That's right, that's right. Tobias. Push! Bramble. For a few breaths, the fight became a rhythm. Shove, brace, wash, dazzle, lift the fallen, wrap a wrist, pass a roll, call a warning, answer with courage. The second wave pressed, and Willowbrook pressed back. Then the pressure eased. The night crawlers backed away, blinking at the rain. The bloodroots sagged, tired of fighting the water. The Abyssal Guardian stepped back into the trees with heavy, careful steps, as if the forest itself had tugged its sleeve. Quentin. They're pulling away! Lucy. Is that it? Elder Matthias. For now, no cheers. We mend. The villagers didn't shout. They nodded, wiped rain from their faces, and got to work. Dahlia checked the clips. Tobias reset the brace. Gareth flexed his hand and wrapped it with a strip of cloth. Freya. Everyone who's dizzy or stiff, to the inn. We'll warm you and send you back. Nora. Hot tea, Yarrow, and stories that don't scare. Coming right up. Isla. Inn is open. Dry blankets by the hearth. Henry. Bread still warm. Beth. And I'll keep the little ones busy counting ravens with Whisper. Whisper. Who? Above the fields, the dread ravens climbed higher and spread out, as if drawing lines in the sky again. The storm muttered, but didn't leave. The hedges settled, still green, still breathing. Mia, quietly. Thistle. When you said the second key would turn, what does that mean? Thistle, gently. It means storms end when they're meant to, little one, and sometimes they borrow our light to do it. Ripple, softly. Rivers feed the roots when the ground is thirsty. Ember, soft as a coal's glow. And fire keeps watch when night forgets to. Leo, to Elder Matthias. They know something, more than the runes said out loud. Elder Matthias. The wisest truths don't shout. They stand beside us and wait until we're ready. Finn. Are we ready? Elder Matthias. We are braver than we were at dawn. That is a kind of ready. He lifted his staff, and the runes along its shaft shone like small morning stars. Elder Matthias. Repair the gate, dry your cloaks, check each other's hands. Whisper will count the ravens. When the third wave comes, we will be here to meet it. The villagers moved again, quieter now, but steadier. Children carried baskets, adults carried planks. The animals took their places like pieces in a story they all knew by heart. The rain softened to a whisper. Over the tree line, the last of the second wave slipped back into shadow. No cheers rose, but a warm breath of relief passed through the square. On the wall near the gate, 3 little raindrops slid together and then apart again, like a tiny ticking clock. Whisper, very softly. Who? Elder Matthias, to himself. Leaf, water, fire. Not yet. The storm kept its grey hand on the village, but Willowbrook stood. The gate stood. The people stood. And somewhere far below, in stone, older than the first story, a spiral waited and listened. Chapter 7. The Third Surge. The rain eased for only a moment, as if the storm was taking a breath. In that quiet, the defenders at the east gate dared to hope the enemy was retreating for good. Then Whisper swooped low over the square, wings dripping with rain. Whisper, "Who? Who?" Elder Matthias, report. Whisper, movement, market lane. Gareth, they're changing direction. Tobias, they'll try to split us. East Gate and Market Lane at the same time. Elder Matthias, then we divide our strength, not our courage. Tobias, Gareth, Bramble, hold the gate. The rest, with me to the lane. Boots splashed through puddles as villagers hurried down the slick cobbles toward the marketplace. Lanterns swung on their hooks, casting jittery light on closed shop fronts. The scent of rain-soaked bread and damp herbs drifted from the buildings. Nora. The stalls make tight corners, perfect for an ambush. Jacob. Perfect for defense too. We make them choke on their own numbers. From the shadows between the stalls, shapes began to appear. First, the slithering bloodroots, their thorns glistening with rain, then the creeping night crawlers, eyes glowing faintly. Overhead, dread ravens swirled in slow circles. Beth. Positions. Keep the little ones back. Lucy. I can carry messages. Elder Matthias. Yes. Messages only, Lucy. Fast feet, safe hands. A low rumble came from the far end of the lane. Between two shop fronts, the air seemed to bend. A forest wraith stepped forward, its shape shifting like smoke in wind. Leo. It's huge. Mia. Not as huge as our friends. Elder Matthias. Keys to the front. Through the rain, Thistle, Ripple, and Ember approached again. They moved with the same steady calm as before, but now there was something in their eyes, a knowing weight. Thistle. Roots will hold the stalls. Her antlers glowed green, and vines, gentle to the touch, twined between market poles, creating a living barrier. Ripple. Water will sweep the street. He leapt into a puddle, and water rose like a playful tide, washing over the cobbles to push the night crawlers back. Ember. Light will guide the strike. With a powerful beat of her wings, Ember lifted into the air, scattering the dread ravens with a burst of harmless but dazzling flame. Nora. Perfect timing. The forest wraith glided forward, sliding through gaps in the vine barrier. Elder Matthias. Hold formation. Silverpaw. Flank. Silverpaw dashed along the stall roofs, leaping down to land between the wraith and the nearest villager. He bared his teeth and growled, low and warning. The wraith hesitated, then swept toward him. Silverpaw sidestepped, luring it into a narrow space where the vines were thicker. Ripple. Now! The tide surged sideways, and the wraith was pushed back into the lane's heart. Thistle stamped a hoof, and the vines closed behind it like a green gate. Leo. They're working together like they've practiced this. Finn. Maybe they have. From the rooftops, Quentin called out. Quentin. More crawlers from the north alley. Mia. I'll take a message to Gareth. Elder Matthias. Go. Quick and careful. Mia sprinted down a side path, splashing through puddles, and disappeared into the rain. At the far end of the lane, the bloodroots began curling around barrels and crates, pulling them apart to clear a path. One thorned vine snapped toward Isla, who stumbled back. Max. I've got it! He swung a dull training spear, knocking the vine away. Jacob stepped in behind him, pressing a leaf to the ground. The soil under the bloodroots shuddered, and the plants withdrew as if yanked by invisible hands. Jacob. Not in my garden, you don't. Ember swept low, her wings drying the ground under her, making it easier for the villagers to move. Ripple darted from puddle to puddle, keeping the tide moving to shield the defenders. Elder Matthias. They're slowing. Keep the pressure. The crawlers began to pull back, the blood roots twisting into the shadows. The forest wraith dissolved into a wisp of fog and vanished between the buildings. The dread ravens climbed higher, their cries fading into the clouds. Nora. Is it over? Elder Matthias. No, that was only the third surge, and there will be more. Thistle. 3 keys turned once today. Ripple. Twice before long. Ember. And then the lock will open. Their voices were calm, but the meaning made Mia shiver when she returned from the gate. Mia. We held the gate. They're holding too. Elder Matthias. Then we stand ready for the next. The rain thickened again, tapping gently on rooftops. The marketplace smelled of wet wood and fresh leaves from Thistle's vines. The defenders breathed together, steady and quiet. Over the forest, the ravens began to gather again. Chapter 8. While the rain rests. The storm softened from a shout to a whisper. Raindrops tapped the rooftops like careful fingers, and thin mist curled in the lanes. Willowbrook felt tired in a good way, like a runner who had finished a hard lap and was catching breath for the next. Elder Matthias. Slow work now. Smart work. Check the braces, then check each other. Gareth. Spikes are snug. I'll add 2 more along the lower beam. Tobias. I'll oil the hinges. Quiet doors make quick moves. Bramble. Bramble shifted the crossbar into a sweeter spot, so it sat without groaning. In the market lane, the vines Thistle had grown settled into friendly hedges. Their leaves shivered in the light rain and made the whole street smell green and clean. Nora. If you're woozy, we sit. If you're chilly, we rap. If you're brave, well, we all are. Tea? Freya. Hands out. Let me see. A scrape here, a bump there. Good. Nothing a bandage can't talk to. Villager, smiling. I thought I flew when the gate rattled. Freya. You landed well. That's what matters. Under the elm, Henry opened a basket and lifted cloth from warm loaves. Steam rose in soft swirls. Henry. 1 roll each, 2 for messengers. Feet can't run on empty. Lucy. Thank you. I'm still fast. Elder Matthias. Fast and careful, both. Isla. Inn's fire is steady. Blankets are dry. If anyone needs a corner to nap, I'll wake you before the next bell. Elise, softly. A little tune for the hands that mend? Elder Matthias. 1 song, bright as tea. Elise brought her flute to her lips and let a light melody float through the square. The notes settled like tiny birds on window ledges and fence rails. Even the dread ravens far above seemed to listen before drifting higher into the mist. At the well, Ripple rested with his paws over the stone rim, watching water mirror the grey sky. Finn. Are you tired? Ripple. Rivers don't sleep. They pause to remember where they're going. Mia. We're glad you're here. Ripple, smiling with his eyes. Me too. On the inn roof, Ember spread her damp feathers to the soft rain. Steam curled into ribbons that made the roof tiles look as if they were wearing scarves. Leo. Does that hurt? Ember. No. The rain says hello, and the fire says hello back. Thistle stood beside the elm, antlers catching droplets that flashed pale green. Jacob, your hedges listened to the lane like it was a garden. Thistle, everything becomes kinder when it knows where to grow. Beth, to the children, you hear that? The lane learned manners. Giggles bubbled, quick and quiet, then faded into the hum of fixing and fetching. Whisper hopped along the gate and peered toward the trees. Whisper, who? Elder Matthias, count for me. Whisper, 8 in the low sky, 4 high. Elder Matthias? Noted. He knelt and drew small chalk marks along the threshold, curved lines for roots, dots for raindrops, a tiny sun tucked in the corner like a brave secret. Elder Matthias, we rest by doing, we fear by standing still. Leo, Elder, about the runes, the leaf, the water, the fire, could they mean people? Elder Matthias, they mean helpers. Some wear fur or feathers, some carry baskets or hammers. All are Willowbrook when the rain is thick. Mia, quiet. And when the door needs opening, Elder Matthias. We'll choose with care. Doors don't command us. We decide. A bell tapped once from the inn. Isla's signal that tea was ready again. Rosie and Max carried trays. Ava and Tom followed with folded cloths. Nora. Thank you, team. Freya. Heroes wear aprons too. The square breathed easier. No one cheered, because cheering felt like shouting at a library, but a soft feeling of "we can do this" snuck into shoulders and hands. Beneath the village, the tunnels listened to the quiet steps above. Far down the side passage, the sealed door waited, its spiral as patient as moss. A single drop slid from the ceiling and tapped the floor. Tick, like a clock with nowhere to rush. At the tunnel mouth, Mia, Leo, and Finn checked their sketch again. Leo. Leaf, water, fire. 3 cups under the dots. Finn. Do we do anything now? Mia. We keep the lantern full and the chalk sharp. Whisper, perched on the stair rail. Who? Leo. We'll be ready. They tucked the parchment away and climbed back toward lamplight and the smell of tea. Deep in the Enchanted Forest, rain made its own music. Soft patters on pine needles, tiny drips from fern tips, a hush over the moss. In a clearing shadowed by leaning trunks, a circle of eyes glowed in the dim. Ray stood in the center, fur dark with rain. The wisping veil, a faint shimmer around his chest, like a cloud that had learned to breathe. Ray. They held the gate. Nyx, a lean wolf with quick feet. They held the lane, too. Varek, broad-shouldered. The big one at the door, the bear, he's a wall. Seraphine, voice like a far bell. The village hums when they work. The song makes their hands clever. Rook, the smallest. Do we go quiet? Sneak? Ray. We go wise. The third surge was a lesson. The next will be a puzzle. Lirael, soft-eyed. Gates are strong. Lanes are tricky. Roofs? Ray. Roofs and chimneys. Webs across narrow places. Shadows in friendly corners. We turn their helpful shapes into hurdles. Zorin, looking up. Dread ravens will mark paths. Ray. They will, but remember, no harm to the littlest. We break walls, not hearts. The pack's ears flicked. Rain beat a steady rhythm on leaves. Nyx. What of the fox of light? The bird of fire, the antlers that make hedges. Ray. They are keys that haven't turned. Not yet. Keep them busy. Make the village choose where to look. The veil around Ray breathed once, slow. It made the rain nearby tremble, then still. Ray. When the moment comes, I will be there. Rook. By the lane or the hall? Ray. Both. He said, and his eyes reflected a thin, silver line, like a river that forgot it was water. The pack rose, one by one, and stepped backward into the trees until the clearing was empty, but for rain and the scent of pine. Back in Willowbrook, Isla counted blankets and folded them into tidy stacks. Henry set dough to rise for later, the bowl tucked near the hearth. Beth handed the little ones a quiet game. Find 5 circles, 5 triangles, 5 squares, and they wandered the square, pointing at barrels, windows, and paving stones. Beth. Shapes are everywhere, even in stories. Lucy. I found a triangle of raindrops. Elise. That's good luck. Gareth. Gates sound. Hands are steadier now. Tobias. Then we swap shifts. No one stands until their legs forget how to walk. Freya. Hot cloth, fresh wrap. You'll feel your fingers again. Nora. Sip this. It tastes brave. Near the elm, Thistle lowered her head and brushed Ripple's shoulder with the tip of an antler. Thistle, soft. When roots are ready, they loosen. Ripple, soft. When rivers are ready, they open. On the roof, Ember listened to the quiet. Steam drifted around her like a scarf. Ember, soft. When fire is ready, it remembers why it burns. Mia, to Elder Matthias. They keep saying things that sound like goodbyes. Elder Matthias. They sound like promises. Different music, same song. Leo. And the next verse. Elder Matthias. We sing it when it arrives. A breeze came from the forest, not cold, just full of trees and wet stone. It carried 3 small sounds into the square. Tap on the inn sign. Tap on the gatepost. Tap on the well bucket. Not loud, not angry. Just there. Whisper, lifting his head. Who? Jacob. The paths are shifting. Elder Matthias. Rest time is almost done. He stood, planted his staff, and the runes along it glowed like tiny windows catching late light. Elder Matthias. Listen to the rain. Feel how it holds its breath? That means the storm is choosing what to do next. So do we. Henry. Rolls in baskets. If we move with crumbs. Isla. Blankets by the door. If we hide warm. Freya. Clean cloths. If we mend quickly. Nora. And kindly. The dread ravens reappeared, first 2, then 4, then 8, gliding low enough that their wings kissed the mist. They didn't cry out this time. They simply circled, slow and wide, as if drawing a ring no one else could see. Lucy, very small voice. Will we be all right? Beth, steady. We will be together. That is what all right looks like when storms are near. Elder Matthias. Positions at the bell. Not yet. Let the rain finish its rest. Willowbrook breathed in. Willowbrook breathed out. The storm, somewhere above the clouds, did the same. And in the quiet between those breaths, every hand in the village made a small choice. To be ready. Whisper. Soft. Sure. Who? Chapter 9. Shadows Beyond the Rift. Rain slid from the roofs in steady lines, splashing into buckets and barrels. Willowbrook's defenders had caught their breath after the third surge, but the quiet was short-lived. Shapes moved above the mist, claws scraped across tiles, and shadows leapt from chimney to chimney. Lucy, they're on the rooftops. Gareth, hold steady, shields high, roofs or not, we'll meet them. Tobias, brace the ladders, don't let them drop down. The wolves of Ray's pack raced across the slanted roofs, their eyes bright like tiny lanterns. They leapt, snarled, and tested every corner of the village defences. Nets were flung upward, sparks lit torches, and Ember's wings sent flares of light to chase them back. But Ray himself did not fight. He stood on the farthest roof, silent, the rain plastering his fur. The mist curled around him strangely, as if obeying his breath. Ray, low to himself. You hold your gates, you mend your walls, but storms do not ask permission. He stepped backward into shadow. No one saw where he went. In a glade beyond the village, the trees leaned together as though whispering secrets. Here the rain was heavier, thick drops splashing into black puddles. Ray padded into the clearing, claws digging into mud. The wisping veil, curled deep inside his chest, stirred like a living fog. Wisping veil, inside Ray's voice, echoing. You call, you hunger. Open the path? Ray, snarling softly. Yes. Willowbrook clings too well. Their courage is sharp. I need more. He raised his muzzle and exhaled, and the mist from his chest spilled out. It twisted upward, circling like a spiral. The air thinned, then cracked with a sound like splitting ice. A portal flickered open before him, dark, jagged, and humming. Beyond its rim lay tenebrous rift. The realm breathed shadows. Black mist coiled over broken stone, and faint whispers echoed from nowhere. In the distance, through swirls of smoke, a colossal shape moved. A curve of scale, a flick of a wing, a single burning ember of an eye. The glade trembled. Ray, bowing his head. Master of the Rift, Vorak, hear me. The ground shook with a muffled roar, deep and ancient. Leaves tore from branches, spinning into the air like frightened birds. Wisping veil, whispering through Ray. The dragon sleeps, bound by the rift. He waits for the other key. Ray, growling, Sapphire. The veil pulsed inside him, making his fur glow with threads of smoke. Wisping veil. When she wakes, the rift will open wider. Only then will Vorak walk again. Ray, eyes narrowing. Then I will wake her. She will rise, and she will break them. The portal flared, spilling a line of black fire across the glade. A claw, vast, scaled, and covered in cracks of molten glow, pressed briefly against the other side. It did not cross, but its weight made the earth shudder. Ray's lips curled into a grim smile. Ray. Sleep, Vorak. Your time nears. He released his breath, and the portal shrank into mist, snapping shut with a hiss. The whispers of tenebrous rift lingered, echoing in the rain. Back in Willowbrook, the villagers felt it without knowing why. The torches flickered, though no wind blew. The children looked up at the roofs, their games forgotten. Whisper, the owl, lifted his head and called once, short and sharp. Whisper. Who? Elder Matthias, frowning. Something moved in the deep places, not here, but close. Nora. The ground quivered. Did you feel it? Freya. Like a door being nudged. Henry. Or a giant rolling over in its sleep. The defenders tightened their grips, eyes darting from gate to roof to the dark forest beyond. None of them saw Ray reappear at the tree line, his fur wet, his eyes brighter than before. The veil inside him whispered like a lullaby only he could hear. Ray, to himself, quiet. The storm has only begun. And above the clouds, the rain paused for half a heartbeat, as if even the sky was waiting. Chapter 10. The village trembles. It happened between one raindrop and the next. The sky, already grey, turned to pitch. Not evening, not night, but a deep, moonless black that swallowed the rooftops and hid the hills. The rain stopped at once, so suddenly that the last drops hung on eaves like beads on a string. The world felt held in a hand. Lucy, small voice. Where did the sky go? Beth, gently. It's playing peekaboo. Elder Matthias. Lamps high, pairs and lines, no one walks alone. Lanterns bloomed in the square, one by one. Warm circles popped open on doorsteps and along the gate, little islands of gold in a sea of dark. Beyond them, the Enchanted Forest disappeared. Not shadowed. Gone. The tree line was a line no more. It was a thick void that swallowed every glance. Nora. I can't see the first row of trees. Not even the trunks. Jacob. The ground feels quiet. Too quiet. Freya. If anyone feels dizzy, take my arm. Isla. Inn is open, light in every window. Henry. Bread and warm cups, courage likes company. Whisper lifted from the elm, circled once, then pulled his wings in tight and landed fast, feathers puffed. Whisper. Who? Who? Elder Matthias. Report. Whisper. Sky heavy. Wings heavy. Dark presses. Elder Matthias. Stay grounded then. Eyes on the lamps. Gareth. Gates steady, but the dark makes it feel like we're floating. Tobias. Hands on wood. Feel the reel. Bramble leaned his big shoulder against the crossbar until the timbers gave a friendly creak, a reminder that something was still exactly where it should be. Bramble. Mia. Is the forest hiding? Leo. Or pretending not to be there? Elder Matthias. Tricks can't move houses, only hearts. Remember where your feet are? Cobblestone, gate, friend. On the inn roof, Ember opened her wings. A soft halo warmed the tiles around her, a calm glow that didn't fight the dark so much as teach it manners. Leo. Thank you, Ember. Ember. Light remembers. At the well, Ripple placed his paws on the stone lip and peered in. The water didn't ripple. It was a perfect mirror, holding its breath. Finn. Is it sleeping? Ripple. No, listening. Thistle stood by the market lane, gently brushing her antlers through the hedge she had grown. The leaves trembled and stilled. Thistle. Roots curl in when storms stare. It's all right to be small for a moment. Beth, to the children. You hear? The plants know how to take a calm breath. We can too. Elise raised her flute, then paused. Elise. A tiny song? Elder Matthias. One calm note. A single tone, clear as morning glass, floated up and rested over the square. It didn't chase the dark, but it made a safe circle inside it. Nora. Better. Freya. Much. At the edge of the void where the forest should have been, Silverpaw padded 3 steps forward, then stopped. The dark there wasn't just seen. It was felt, like cool cloth on the face. Silverpaw. Sound bends, scent curls back. Elder Matthias. Hold the line. We do not step into what won't show its ground. Quentin, from a ladder, softly. I can't see my own shadow. Dahlia. Here. Pins that shine a little. She handed out small, clever clips that winked like tiny stars when they caught lantern light. She fastened one on Silverpaw's collar and another on the gatepost. Dahlia. So we can find each other when our eyes forget how. Isla. Blankets to the children. Warm shoulders make brave hearts. Henry. And rolls for hands that shake. Beth. Let's count the lamps together. 1, 2. See? We're not lost. One by one, voices joined. Counting became a rope, and everyone held on. Far beyond Willowbrook, Ray stood at the lip of the void, where the wisping veil inside him made the dark thicker. His pack gathered close. Nyx, Varek, Seraphine, Rook, Lirael, Zorin, eyes bright dots in the black. Nyx. They huddle in lights. Ray. Good. Light that holds still is easier to circle. Rook. Do we rush? Ray. No. We wait. Fear is a soft tool. It does half the work. The veil pulsed in Ray's chest, a slow, quiet thrum. Wisping veil within. The village breathes together. Interrupt the breath. Ray. Roofs, chimneys, ladders. Web the narrow places. Nudge the loose things. Make them hear footsteps where there are none. Seraphine. The dark obeys your edge. Ray. For now. He turned his head slightly, as if hearing a far bell. The memory of the portal to Tenebrous Rift shivered behind his eyes. The hint of a wing. The ember of a giant gaze. Ray. Low. Sleep, Vorak. Your hour waits for hers. The pack melted backward, leaving only the feeling of eyes. The darkness pressed forward a finger's width, and then stopped, patient as stone. In the square, a lamp flickered, then steadied. A bucket clinked against the well stones. Somewhere, a shutter tapped a slow, steady beat. Tap, tap, tap. As if a polite guest were knocking but would not say a name. Mia, whispering. It sounds like it's thinking. Leo, the whole sky? Elder Matthias, maybe. We can think back. He set the base of his staff on the cobbles. The runes along the wood lit one after another, no brighter than candle flame, until they made a tiny constellation in his hands. Elder Matthias, look here, not there. We are the map that matters. Lucy. I see the little window lights on your staff. Beth. That's us. Window lights. 1, 2, 3. How many windows in Willowbrook? Children. Soft chorus. Lots. Nora. Enough. Freya. Enough. Isla. Enough. Henry. Enough. On the gate, Gareth squeezed his wrapped hand, then rested his palm on the wood. Gareth. I know this grain by heart. Tobias. And I know the squeak on that hinge. If the dark forgot, we didn't. Bramble. Ripple. Water remembers the shape of the bucket even when it can't see it. Thistle. And roots remember where the village put its feet. Ember. Warmly. Light remembers faces. Whisper. Who? A small shiver ran through the ground, not a shake, more like a purr from a very large cat far below. The lamps bobbed as if nodding. Freya: "Did you feel that?" Jacob: "Like the earth changed its mind." Elder Matthias: "Hold steady. No chasing sounds. The dark wants us to wander." Mia: "Elder, the tunnels?" Leo: "The sealed door." Finn: "Do you think it felt the purr?" Elder Matthias: "Perhaps. Doors listen when songs change." Nora: "Should we take the keys? Leaf? Water? Fire?" Elder Matthias: "Not yet. We open when we're ready, not when we're pushed." A hush spread. The darkness didn't lift, but it stopped leaning. The lamps hummed. The children's blankets warmed. On the inn steps, Elise tucked her flute away and folded her hands. Elise: "No more notes. The quiet is the note now." Beth: soft: "Stories have pauses. This is one." Elder Matthias, low to the staff: "Willowbrook. We see, we hear, we stand." For a long breath, nothing moved. Then, at the edge of the square where the road met the vanished forest, a single firefly floated up, out of season, out of reason, and blinked. Once, twice, 3 times. It was such a small light that everyone smiled without meaning to. Lucy: "A friend." Elder Matthias: "Exactly." The firefly drifted toward the gate and settled on the wood beside Dahlia's shining pin. The pin winked back like a tiny knight nodding to a tiny star. Dahlia: quiet pride. 2 good sparks. From somewhere deep, deep like tunnels, deep like roots, a low rumble answered the lamps. Not danger, not safety. A promise that the ground had an opinion and would share it soon. Whisper: "Sure." "Who?" Elder Matthias: "Lanterns trimmed, hands warm, hearts steady. When the sky chooses to return, it will find us exactly where we were." Henry: "With crumbs, Isla, and blankets." Nora: "And tea." Freya: "And each other." They stood together in their circles of light while the black sky thought about whatever skies think about. No one ran. No one argued with the dark. Willowbrook waited well, and somewhere beyond the void, a wolf smiled without showing his teeth. Chapter 11: Holding the Line. The black sky stayed heavy, but it no longer pressed so close. At the edges of Willowbrook's lantern light, the dark rippled like a curtain stirred by a hidden hand. The lamps glowed steady, their gold circles stubborn against the void. Elder Matthias: "We do not chase shadows. We hold our ground." Gareth: "And the ground holds us. A good bargain." Tobias: "Crossbars set. Brambles on it. Let the dark try and move that bear." Bramble: The big bear pushed harder against the beam until the gate gave a friendly creak, like an old friend clearing its throat. The sound steadied the villagers' hearts. Along the square, Freya and Nora moved from lantern to lantern, checking hands, wrapping cloth, offering warm cups. Nora: "Sip. Courage hides in small sips." Freya: "And in clean bandages. Let me see. Just a scrape." Children huddled near Beth, who spun soft tales to keep them busy. Beth: "Once there was a rabbit who out-hopped the wind. How? He always knew where the stones were." Lucy: "Like us, then." Finn: "We know where the cobbles are, even when the sky forgets to show them." Elder Matthias: "Exactly. Knowledge steadies feet. Isla. Blankets ready. In fire waiting. If anyone shakes, you come straight to me. Henry, lifting a tray. And a roll to anyone who thinks a full mouth is braver than an empty one. On the roofs, Silverpaw padded lightly, ears high. His clip from Dahlia winked like a small star. Silverpaw. The air smells twisted, but the roofs are ours. Quentin. Good. Keep it that way. Dahlia, tightening a clip. Shiny pins mean we don't lose each other in the black. Elise, raising her flute. Shall I try one soft note? Elder Matthias? Yes, but not to fight the dark. Play to remind us we're here. Elise blew a gentle phrase, warm and short. It danced between the lamps like a firefly, soft enough to let everyone breathe easier. Mia. That felt like sunshine for a second. Leo. Sunshine with feathers. Whisper. Who? At the market lane, the hedges. Thistle had grown, swayed gently. She lowered her antlers and touched them. Thistle. Roots are calm. They say the ground is holding its breath. Ripple. The water in the well hasn't blinked in minutes. That's patience. Ember, spreading wings. And the fire waits without going out. Waiting is also strength. Mia, watching. You three always sound like you're telling secrets. Ripple, softly, not secrets, promises. Thistle, gently. When it is time, you'll understand. Ember, warmly. Not before, not after. Exactly when. Finn. That sounds scary. Leo. Or safe. Maybe both. At the forest's edge, the void stirred. A creak echoed like wood bending, though no tree could be seen. Then a whisper. Soft steps. Faint scrapes. The sigh of something brushing stone. The villagers froze. Lucy. Did you hear that? Beth. A sound without a shape. Hold your lanterns high. From the void, a pebble skittered across the lane, stopping at the hedge. No creature followed. Gareth. Low. They're testing us. Elder Matthias. Then we answer by standing still. The sounds circled once, then faded. The lamps hummed quietly, their glow refusing to shrink. Isla, exhaling. It feels like they were staring right at us. Nora. Let them stare. We shine back. Beyond the void, Ray's pack crouched low in the unseen forest. Eyes glimmered in the dark like floating embers. Nyx. They cling to lamps. Varek. Lamps can be broken. Ray. Not yet. Fear first. We are the tide. Let them worry which way the water will turn. The wisping veil inside Ray pulsed, a faint cloud curling from his chest. Wisping veil. Patience, vessel. The door stirs. The keys hum. Ray, quiet. Leaf, water, fire. They shine for the village now, but soon they will shine for me. In the square, Elder Matthias raised his staff. The runes lit gently, not bright, but enough to draw every gaze. Elder Matthias. Hear me, Willowbrook. We do not run. We do not chase. We hold the line. The storm will test us, but storms pass. We remain. Henry. With bread. Isla. And blankets. Nora. And herbs. Freya. And kindness. Beth. And stories. Whisper. Who? Chapter 12, When Shadows Creep. The black sky did not lift. It settled. It pressed its chin on the rooftops as if listening to every breath in Willowbrook. Between the lamps, the dark seemed thicker than before, like ink slowly poured into water. Elder Matthias? Lanterns close together, no gaps between circles. Tobias. Aye, I'll shift that post 2 steps left. Gareth. Bramble, lean here. Good. The beam feels braver with you. Bramble. A lamp near the market lane flickered and went out with a soft sigh. Lucy. Lamp down. Isla. I've got it. Isla hurried across the stones with a fresh taper. As she cupped the glass, the dark around the empty hook reached, not with hands, but with a feeling like cold breath. The flame wobbled, then steadied when Ember glided down to hover above, her warmth sheltering the spark. Ember, gentle now. Isla, smiling. Thank you, Flamebird. The lamp caught. Its light pushed back, a little island reclaiming its shore. Nora. We relight every time. No lamp is allowed to quit. Freya. And no person. Henry. Rolls for the relighters. He held out a basket. Lucy plucked 2 and handed one to Isla like a medal. Lucy, for bravery in the dark. Isla, for teamwork. Along the hedge, the shadows stretched between the stool poles as if trying on new shapes. Thistle lowered her antlers until their green glow touched leaf to leaf. Thistle. Stay close, little hedge. Jacob. Roots to roots, paths to paths. He pressed his palm to the soil. The ground seemed to remember the hedge's outline and drew the shadows back to their proper size, like a blanket tucked around a bed. Mia. They're moving without feet? Leo. Like puddles sliding uphill. Whisper. Soft. Warning. Who? Who? The owl's head turned once, slow, following something no one else could see. The lamps hummed. The dark hummed back. Inside the inn, Elise set her flute on the mantel and lit 3 candles. The flames were steady. Then, without any breeze, the wicks bent to one side, as if listening to something at the door. Isla. No visitors now. Only neighbours. She opened the door a crack. The lane outside was empty, but the void at its far end seemed closer than before. A soft black wall that made her eyes water. Isla, firmly. Door stays shut tonight. Beth gathered the little ones into a circle on rugs. Beth, count the lights you can see from here. Children, whispering, 1, 5, 7. Beth. Good. Every number is a friend. Ava. Can we sing tiny? Elise. I know a tiny song. The children hummed, no louder than bees. The candles straightened as if proud to be counted. On the wall above the gate, Quentin pointed with a gloved hand. Quentin. There, between those chimneys. Something is drawing lines. Silverpaw. I see them. Threads, too thin to be webs, too straight to be vines, sketched across the gap between 2 roofs, vanishing when a lantern glanced their way, appearing again when it turned. Dahlia. Ah, tricks that hate being seen. She pulled a small case from her satchel and snapped it open. Inside lay smooth pebbles, pale as moonshells. Dahlia. Pocket mirrors. Not to look at faces, at corners. Quentin. Clever. He angled one pebble so the lamp's glow bounced up the alley. The pale thread flashed and melted away like frost. Silverpaw. More there. They worked in quiet rhythm. Angle, flash, melt. The narrow places warmed with safe light. Elder Matthias. Good. Make it easy to see each other. Make it hard to scare each other. Gareth. That's half a battle won. Beneath the elm, Ripple leaned toward the well again. This time the water was not a mirror. It held tiny, dancing shadows, as if something stood over it that no one could touch. Finn. Ripple? Do you see those shapes? Ripple. Soft. I feel them. He tapped the rim with one paw. Plink. Concentric ripples moved out and unwound the shadows like yarn from a snag. The shapes stretched, yawned, and vanished into plain water. Finn. You fixed it? Ripple, smiling. Water likes polite knocks. Nora. Teach me that tap. Ripple guided her fingers. Plink. The sound was soft as a polite cough. The well seemed to approve. At the hedge, Thistle's ears flicked. Thistle. Do you hear it? The ground is ticking. Roots counting. Jacob. 1, 2. Thistle. Yes. Leo, to Mia. Leaf, water, fire. They keep holding the corners. Mia, quiet, like corners of a blanket. Leo, or corners of a spell. Ember circled overhead, tracing warm loops that did not scorch the air. Her glow stitched the lamp circles into a quilt. Ember. Stay stitched. Beyond the void, the pack crept between trunks that could not be seen, pads silent on moss that did not show. The wisping veil curled tighter around Ray's heart, and its whisper thumbed through his thoughts like pages. Wisping veil. Their lights talk to each other, teach the dark to answer. Ray. Shadows through keyholes, footsteps with no feet, tap on shutter, nudge the empty ladder. Nyx. We can make small noises. Ray. Do? Seraphine. The hedge sings. I despise it. Ray. Then sing back. A different tune. A tap-tap sounded on Isla's back door. Not loud, not urgent, like rain remembering how. Isla froze, then smiled without showing fear. Isla. Nice try. She set a second latch in place. On the sill, she placed one of Dahlia's shining clips and a tiny roll from Henry's basket, as if the latch itself were a guest. The tapping moved away, embarrassed. At the smithy lane, a ladder shifted one rung on its own and stopped when Gareth set his boot on it. Gareth. Not tonight? At the far fence, a bucket tipped and rolled in a perfect circle until Beth rested her palm on it. Beth. Circle game played. Thank you. The bucket settled like a child told kindly to sit. Whisper, pleased. Who? Elder Matthias. Names on the dark. When it tries tricks, we answer with names. Villagers, calling softly. This is the gate. This is the lane. This is the well. This is the inn. This is home. The dark did not leave, but it stopped leaning so hard. Then came a new thing. Not loud, not big, but wrong in its direction. From the sealed tunnel stair, a thread of cool air drifted upward, smelling faintly of stone and something like clean smoke. The lamps nearest shivered. Mia. Elder? Leo. The door. Finn. It's breathing? Elder Matthias? Keys. Near me. Thistle stepped close on quiet hooves. Ripple hopped to the stair's lip. Ember settled on the elm branch above, feathers warming the air. Elder Matthias, to the three. We are not opening. We are only listening together. Thistle, gentle. The roots are counting the beats of the deep. Ripple, soft. The water hears a far drum, slow as winter. Ember, low. The fire smells a spark it has never met. Nora. Is it safe? Elder Matthias? It is true. Safety is another question. We hold. We watch. The cool thread from the stair paused, as if noticing it had been noticed. Then it slid away back into the dark below, polite as a guest who remembered an errand. Finn, whispering, "Thank you for going." Whisper, "Who?" The shadows did not stop creeping, but their tricks grew smaller when the village named them. A shutter tap became simply wood. A roof creak turned into weather settling. A flicker turned into a wick asking for a trim. And every time, someone was there with hands and words. Isla. Latch, meat clip. Henry. Cup, meat crumb. Nora. Bandage, meat brave. Freya. Breathe in, meat breathe out. Dahlia. Pin, meet corner. Beth. Story, meet silence. Elder Matthias. Light, meet light. Even so, tiredness crept in with the shadows. Knees wobbled, eyes blinked too long. A lamp dimmed, then brightened, like a sleepy heartbeat. Elder Matthias. Rotate. No one stands until they forget how to sit. Isla. Blankets. Change shoulders. Henry. Last warm rolls before the next batch. Freya. Hot cloths for cold fingers. Nora. And a smile for each. Quentin. Roof is clear. Silverpaw. For now. At the edge of the void, Ray stood terribly still. He listened not with his ears, but with the veil that threaded through him. Wisping veil. They hold in gentleness. Unwise. Effective. Ray. Gentleness breaks when pressed. He lifted his head. Somewhere far inside the rift, a promise large as mountains rolled over in its sleep. Ray, low. Wake soon, Sapphire. Wake sooner, Vorak. The veil inside him tightened once. Approval or warning, it was hard to tell. Wisping veil. Not yet. Ray, baring teeth in a smile no one saw. Soon. Back in the square, Elise touched her flute again, but did not play. She looked at Beth. Elise. What now? Beth, soft. Now we wait well. Mia. How do you wait well? Beth. By remembering what you love while you wait. Leo. Lanterns. Finn. Biscuits. Lucy. Blankets. Isla. Laughter, even if it's small. Henry. The smell of bread you can't see yet. Nora. The way tea steam curls. Freya. Hands that stop shaking. Gareth. A gate that hums instead of groans. Tobias. A hinge that doesn't squeak. Bramble. Elder Matthias. And a village that names the dark and does not follow it. A breeze brushed the square, and for a heartbeat, the black edge of the world thinned, showing the faintest grey, then fell dark again, like a curtain that had only peeked. Whisper, sure. Who? Elder Matthias. It's learning that we do not scare easily. Mia, under her breath. We do scare. We just don't run. Leo, nodding. That's the difference. The creeping shadows settled back to the edges, as if thinking. The lamps burned on. The village stood. Somewhere below, a spiral listened and remembered 3 old words. Leaf, water, fire. And the night went on, not winning, not leaving, only waiting for the next move. Chapter 13. The great hall breached. The lamps held. The gates groaned steady, but the darkness grew cleverer. It crept not only along the streets now, but toward the great hall, where the villagers gathered for warmth, songs, and meetings. Its wide oak doors had seen feasts, weddings, and harvest dances, but never a war like this. Elder Matthias. The hall must stand. If its doors fall, fear follows faster than wolves. Gareth. Then I'll plant my boots here. They'll have to move me and the floor. Henry, carrying a tray. And me, if only so no one goes hungry. Shadows can rattle all they like. Empty bellies rattle louder. The children giggled, tension loosening a notch. Beth. Henry's right. Shadows might frighten, but they never bake. Lucy. Do shadows even eat? Beth, with a wink. Only crumbs left behind by careless heroes. The children laughed harder. For a moment, the hall's stone pillars seemed to smile too. Then came the first trick. The windows along the hall's east wall dimmed, as if clouds had slid inside the glass. A shape pressed outward from one pane, flat, thin, like a hand made of smoke. Isla. Lantern here. Dahlia angled a shining clip so the glow caught the window. The smoky hand shrank and smeared into nothing. Dahlia. Glass doesn't bend for strangers? Freya. Nor do we. A second trick followed. From the rafters, faint whispers curled down, almost like voices telling secrets. Words tangled together, too soft to catch but too heavy to ignore. Whisper. Stern. Who? Who? His call broke the sound apart like twigs snapped underfoot. The rafters stilled. Mia, wide-eyed. Were they talking? Elder Matthias, quiet. Not to us, to each other. They have always liked doors and roofs, ever since the old war. Leo. What old war? Elder Matthias, low, almost to himself. The one where shadows learned to eat light. The villagers traded looks, but Elder Matthias said no more. Only the faint runes on his staff glowed, a shape of a broken spiral, half faded with age. The third trick was boldest. The oak doors shuddered as if someone leaned hard against them. A loud knock boomed 3 times. Bam! 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 Lucy, jumping. It's like someone's asking to come in. Henry, steadying the tray. Well, if it's a shadow guest, they'll find we're out of chairs. Beth, laughing. And out of biscuits. Henry, grinning. Never that. I always keep 2 hidden. He pulled 2 small rolls from his apron pocket and held them up like trophies. Even Gareth chuckled, which was rarer than sunshine at midnight. The door boomed again. This time, faint lines of black crept along the grain, looking like ink searching for cracks. Gareth, grunting. Not today! He pressed his shoulder into the wood. Beside him, Bramble rose and leaned too, the huge bear's bulk making the hinges groan. Bramble. Elder Matthias. Hold the doors, but more. Name them. Shadows forget what things are. We remind them. Villagers, together. These are the doors of Willowbrook. They open for weddings, for dances, for councils, for feasts, not for fear. The black lines froze. Then they peeled away like smoke, tugged by the wind, and vanished into the floor. But the darkness was not finished. It slid under the doors, thin as thread, curling across the flagstones toward the fire pit in the center of the hall. The flames shrank, hissing like water spilled on hot iron. Elise, raising her flute. "I can help." She played a single rising note, high, clear, and full of light. The fire flared in answer, lifting tall enough to brush the iron pothook above. The creeping shadow snapped back, retreating to the corners. Nora. "See? Music burns, too." Elise, smiling. "It only needed reminding." Elder Matthias lowered his staff, eyes narrowing. The runes along it flickered, one symbol shining brighter than the rest, a circle split by 3 lines. Elder Matthias, soft. "Once the Shadow War taught us doors and halls were never truly safe. We learned to stand, not to flee. Remember this, Willowbrook. The hall is strong only because we fill it." Beth, to the children. "That's lore tucked inside advice." Finn. "What's lore?" Beth, smiling. "Stories that still work." The dark outside pressed again, but lighter now, as if testing rather than forcing. The villagers shifted in closer to the fire. Henry passed out more rolls, Isla tucked blankets tighter, and Freya checked bandages once more. Lucy, "Do you think the shadows get tired?" Henry, mock whisper. "Not half as fast as Baker's." Beth, or bears. Bramble, rumbling with amusement. "Herm." The children giggled. Even Whisper fluffed his feathers like a chuckle. Elder Matthias, "Laughter is a lamp too. Hold it high." And so, through tricks and taps, knocks and whispers, the hall did not fall. The shadows crept, but the people named laughed and pushed back. Outside, the void sulked, waiting for another chance. Far beyond, in the Enchanted Forest's unseen glades, Ray tilted his head and listened. The veil in his chest stirred. Wisping veil, inside Ray. They remember the old war. That makes them stubborn. Ray. Stubborn breaks. Everything breaks. His eyes gleamed, reflecting the faintest ember of something that waited deeper still. The black sky finally remembered rain. It did not fall gentle. It poured. 1,000 fists drumming rooftops, splashing lanes, filling barrels too fast. Lightning split the dark in crooked spears, and thunder rolled heavy enough to make shutters rattle on their hinges. Lucy, covering ears. "It's so loud." Beth, smiling softly. "That's thunder showing off. Pretend it's a drum parade." Henry, shaking his tray. "Then my roles are the marching soldiers." The children giggled, but their eyes stayed wide as another flash lit the square, turning every villager into a pale shadow for a blink. Elder Matthias. Lamps trimmed. Water pots near the doors. Storms test more than courage. They test roofs and tempers. Tobias. Roof beams will hold. Gareth. Gates still steady, even if the rain wants to wash us away. Bramble. High above, Ember battled the storm. Her wings sparked as raindrops hissed on her feathers, steam curling in ribbons. Normally fire welcomed rain with a friendly hiss. Tonight, though, the storm hissed back. Ember, uneasy. This storm is not only sky. Something else burns beneath it. She landed hard on the great hall's roof, claws scraping tiles, eyes bright. Ember. Listen to me. There is fire in this storm. Not mine. Not friendly. Something deeper. Leo, peering up. You mean the rift? Ember, nodding. Yes. I feel heat from a place where rain cannot go. It pounds like a heart too large for the world. Mia, whispering. Vorak? The name slipped out, though most of the children did not know its weight. Elder Matthias did. His grip on his staff tightened. Elder Matthias, do not spread that word loosely. Fire has ears. Henry, trying to lighten. If fire has ears, at least it'll hear me when I say the stew's ready. The hall laughed, though softly. Ember did not. Her feathers glowed, brighter than usual, and steam hissed around her like warning smoke. The storm grew wilder. Lightning struck the fields beyond the gates, turning grass silver for an instant. The rain came sideways now, battering shutters and making lantern flames wobble. Isla. Keep cloths ready. If a lamp sputters, cover it, then relight quick. Freya. And if a heart sputters, we cover that too. Nora. With tea and calm voices. At the hedge, Thistle pressed her antlers to the wet earth. Thistle. The roots are frightened. They whisper of heat below the mud. Ripple at the well. The water steams, though no kettle warms it. Something burns where it should not. Ember, to Matthias, urgent. You see? It is not only storm. It is a call, a warning. Elder Matthias bent his head, listening not only to Ember but to the storm itself. Between thunderbeats, he thought he heard words, low, rumbling, in no tongue the children knew. Elder Matthias, grimly. The shadow war began this way. Fire spoke from a place where it should have slept. Leo. But you beat it then, didn't you? Elder Matthias, quiet. We survived it. That is not the same. Another flash tore the sky. This time, the lightning stayed for a heartbeat longer, showing something that wasn't there before. A shadow of wings, too vast for any bird, stretching across the clouds, then gone. Lucy, gasping. Did you see? Beth, firmly. It was lightning playing games. Whisper, low. Who? No game. The owl's eyes were wide, reflecting sparks no one else could see. Ember flared her wings and shouted into the storm. Ember, you are not welcome here. The thunder answered with a growl so deep the ground quivered. The fire pit in the hall spat sparks, as though agreeing with Ember's cry. Henry, half joking, half nervous. If the storm wants supper, it'll have to queue behind us. Isla, tugging his sleeve. Not funny. Henry, soft. I know, but it helps. The storm pounded on. The villagers huddled together, every lamp burning, every blanket wrapped. Ember stood tall on the roof, her glow cutting through the rain, wings blazing against the black. Elder Matthias, to the people. Hear this. Storms pass, but fire remembers. Tonight we remember too. Willowbrook has stood through wars and whispers. We stand now. Villagers, together, louder than thunder. We stand now. The rain hammered. The lightning flashed. The thunder growled. But Willowbrook's lamps shone back, stubborn little stars in the blackest night. And far beyond, in the unseen rift, something old and burning shifted in its sleep. Chapter 14. The Fire in the Storm. The black sky finally remembered rain. It did not fall gentle. It poured. 1,000 fists drumming rooftops, splashing lanes, filling barrels too fast. Lightning split the dark in crooked spears, and thunder rolled heavy enough to make shutters rattle on their hinges. Lucy, covering ears. "It's so loud!" Beth, smiling softly. "That's thunder showing off. Pretend it's a drum parade." Henry, shaking his tray. "Then my roles are the marching soldiers." The children giggled, but their eyes stayed wide as another flash lit the square, turning every villager into a pale shadow for a blink. Elder Matthias. "Lamps trimmed, water pots near the doors. Storms test more than courage. They test roofs and tempers." Tobias. "Roof beams will hold." Gareth. "Gates still steady, even if the rain wants to wash us away." Bramble. High above, Ember battled the storm. Her wings sparked as raindrops hissed on her feathers, steam curling in ribbons. Normally, fire welcomed rain with a friendly hiss. Tonight, though, the storm hissed back. Ember, uneasy. This storm is not only sky, something else burns beneath it. She landed hard on the great hall's roof, claws scraping tiles, eyes bright. Ember. "Listen to me. There is fire in this storm, not mine, not friendly, something deeper." Leo, peering up. "You mean the rift?" Ember, nodding. "Yes. I feel heat from a place where rain cannot go. It pounds like a heart too large for the world." Mia, whispering. "Vorak?" The name slipped out, though most of the children did not know its weight. Elder Matthias did. His grip on his staff tightened. Elder Matthias. "Do not spread that word loosely. Fire has ears." Henry, trying to lighten. "If fire has ears, at least it'll hear me when I say the stew's ready." The hall laughed, though softly. Ember did not. Her feathers glowed, brighter than usual, and steam hissed around her like warning smoke. The storm grew wilder. Lightning struck the fields beyond the gates, turning grass silver for an instant. The rain came sideways now, battering shutters and making lantern flames wobble. Isla. "Keep cloths ready. If a lamp sputters, cover it, then relight quick." Freya. "And if a heart sputters, we cover that too." Nora, with tea and calm voices. At the hedge, Thistle pressed her antlers to the wet earth. Thistle. "The roots are frightened. They whisper of heat below the mud." Ripple, at the well. "The water steams, though no kettle warms it. Something burns where it should not." Ember, to Matthias, urgent. "You see, it is not only storm, it is a call, a warning." Elder Matthias bent his head, listening not only to Ember but to the storm itself. Between thunderbeats, he thought he heard words, low, rumbling, in no tongue the children knew. Elder Matthias, grimly. "The shadow war began this way. Fire spoke from a place where it should have slept." Leo. "But you beat it then, didn't you?" Elder Matthias, quiet. "We survived it. That is not the same." Another flash tore the sky. This time the lightning stayed for a heartbeat longer, showing something that wasn't there before. A shadow of wings too vast for any bird, stretching across the clouds, then gone. Lucy, gasping. "Did you see?" Beth, firmly. "It was lightning playing games." Whisper, low. "Who? No game." The owl's eyes were wide, reflecting sparks no one else could see. Ember flared her wings and shouted into the storm. "Ember, you are not welcome here." The thunder answered with a growl so deep the ground quivered. The fire pit in the hall spat sparks, as though agreeing with Ember's cry. Henry, half joking, half nervous. "If the storm wants supper, it'll have to queue behind us." Isla, tugging his sleeve. "Not funny." Henry, soft. "I know, but it helps." The storm pounded on. The villagers huddled together, every lamp burning, every blanket wrapped. Ember stood tall on the roof, her glow cutting through the rain, wings blazing against the black. Elder Matthias, to the people. "Hear this? Storms pass, but fire remembers. Tonight, we remember too. Willowbrook has stood through wars and whispers. We stand now. Villagers, together, louder than thunder. We stand now." The rain hammered, the lightning flashed, the thunder growled. But Willowbrook's lamps shone back, stubborn little stars in the blackest night. And far beyond, in the unseen rift, something old and burning shifted in its sleep. Chapter 15. The Fourth Surge. The storm roared like an angry river. Thunder shook the rooftops, lightning clawed across the sky, and the gates of Willowbrook quivered under pounding claws. This time the wolves did not stop at rooftops or shadows. They came through. With a crack of wood and a shout from the guards, the beams gave way, and the pack of Ray spilled into the village square. Eyes gleamed, paws splashed through puddles, and teeth flashed white in the lamplight. Gareth, sword raised. "They're inside. Stand your ground." Tobias. "Shields tight. Lanes. Block the lanes." Bramble, roaring. "Hum!" The bear threw his weight forward, knocking 2 wolves into a wall, but more slipped around him. Villagers cried out, some stumbling, others pulling children behind them. Lucy. "They're everywhere." Beth, firmly. "Circle close. Do not scatter. Shadows love when we scatter." The wolves prowled the alleys, noses low, claws scraping. They were not only fighting, they were searching, as if hunting something, or someone. Mia, to Leo, whispering. "What are they looking for?" Leo, swallowing. "Us." Inside the square, Ember swooped down, wings blazing. She scattered fire along the cobbles, a barrier that hissed in the rain. Wolves skidded back, growling, eyes burning with more than hunger. Ember. "Back, beasts. This fire is not yours." But even as she spoke, Ray's howl rose above the storm, a broken, echoing cry that chilled even the bravest. His pack turned, pressing forward harder, drawn by his call. "Ray, from the dark. Find them. Tear the hope from their hands." The wolves surged. For a heartbeat, Willowbrook faltered. Then, something else stirred. A low, deep tremor rolled underfoot. The lamps flickered. The storm paused mid-roar, as though holding its breath. And every wolf froze. Their ears flattened. Their eyes widened. From the far-off void of the forest came a sound, not loud, but heavy. A heartbeat, slow, ancient, powerful. Whisper, hushed. Who? Ripple, uneasy? That is no storm. Thistle, low. Roots remember this dread. The wolves whimpered. Even Ray's pack, fierce and cruel, backed away. Their claws skittered on the wet cobbles, tails low. They turned from the villagers and looked toward the forest. Mia, confused. "Why are they leaving?" Leo. "They're scared." Elder Matthias, grim. "They fear what wakes. They fear Sapphire." The name hung in the storm like lightning that refused to fade. Ray appeared at the edge of the square, rain plastering his dark fur, the wisping veil twisting faintly in his chest. His eyes burned, but his snarl wavered as the deep heartbeat echoed again. Ray, growling low. Not yet. Not yet. He bared his teeth, but instead of commanding his wolves, he turned sharply. His pack fled with him, disappearing into the void where even the rain dared not follow. Silence swept over Willowbrook, broken only by the crackle of embers' flames and the drip-drip of water from the eaves. The villagers stood, panting, eyes wide. For the first time, the enemy had left, not because they were beaten, but because something worse stirred. Lucy, shaking. What's Sapphire? Beth, kneeling to her. A story we were never meant to meet? Elder Matthias, steady. Not a story, a truth. One that returns. The villagers gathered in the great hall after the retreat, dripping with rain, shaken but alive. Elder Matthias leaned on her staff, the runes glowing faintly. Her voice carried through the firelit chamber. Elder Matthias, you have fought well, Willowbrook. You have stood through 3 waves, and tonight, through the 4th. But the storm is only the beginning. The villagers murmured, weary but listening. Elder Matthias, after a pause, I must tell you something I have kept too long. I had a son. His name was Alaric. The hall stilled. Freya, softly. Your son? Elder Matthias, nodding. Yes, long ago, when the Shadow War still left scars on these lands, Alaric was born. Strong, wise, but restless. He left Willowbrook for another realm, the 8th realm, beyond the rift's reach. I let him go, though it tore my heart. Nora, why tell us now? Elder Matthias, because we may not be enough. Sapphire rises, Vorak stirs, and the veil tightens its grip. When this battle is done, someone must seek Alaric and bring him home. He may be the key to what comes next. The villagers exchanged hushed whispers. Mia, whispering to Leo. A secret hero. Leo, nodding. Maybe our only one. Beth, smiling sadly. Well, if he takes after his mother, he'll be stubborn enough to return when we call. A ripple of tired laughter softened the heavy air. Elder Matthias smiled faintly, though her eyes shone with worry. Elder Matthias, firmly, we hold tonight, but tomorrow a new journey must begin. The thunder rumbled again, quieter this time, like a reminder that storms never truly sleep. And somewhere beyond the void, the slow heartbeat beat once more. Chapter 16. A village divided. Morning did not come easily. The storm still hung above Willowbrook like a tired giant refusing to leave. The rain fell slower now, but the clouds refused to lift. The village smelled of smoke, wet stone, and nerves stretched too long. Inside the great hall, tired faces ringed the fire. Bandages had been changed, bread baked, tea warmed, but quiet filled the spaces between every voice. Freya, softly. We lived through it, somehow. Henry, pouring tea. Tea for the living, then, strong as courage, weak as sense. Beth, smiling faintly. That's your recipe for everything. A few chuckles fluttered through the room, but not everyone smiled. Gareth, grim. They'll be back. Wolves don't leave because they're kind. Nora. No, they left because they're scared of Sapphire. Etla, shaking her head. Scared wolves. That's worse than angry ones. Elder Matthias, quietly. They know what she is capable of. Lucy. Who is she really? The elder's hand tightened on her staff. The runes glowed faintly like sleepy eyes waking up. Elder Matthias. A creature born of fire and pride. Once a guardian, now a storm given shape. If Sapphire wakes fully, even Ray will bow his head. Mia, whispering. But maybe she'll help us. Elder Matthias, sadly. I fear she's forgotten how. The talk shifted. Some voices rose, others fell. The villagers who had heard Elder Matthias speak of Alaric the night before now began to murmur about it. Nora. So, her son, he's real? Freya. The Eighth Realm. That's just a story for children, isn't it? Beth. Most truths begin that way. Gareth. We should focus on what's here. The forest, the wolves, the storm, not chase ghosts. Henry, stirring the pot. Still, if there's even a chance he's out there, wouldn't you want to find him? Isla. Not now. Not until we can step outside without shadows biting our heels. Leo, to Mia. Do you think he's brave like Elder Matthias? Mia. Brave or foolish? Maybe both. Beth, smiling. Usually the same thing in stories. Elder Matthias, raising her staff. Enough. No one leaves Willowbrook. The roads are broken, and the rift breathes too near. When the time comes, the forest will open the path. And only then. The fire cracked, as if to agree. Outside, the rain lightened to mist. The villagers began to mend what they could. Dahlia and Tobias repaired gates. Ripple and Thistle strengthened the garden walls with magic roots. Ember perched on the roof, wings spread to keep watch through the thinning clouds. Henry. It almost looks peaceful again. Nora. Don't say that out loud. Freya. You'll curse it. Henry, grinning. Then I'll bake the curse into a pie and feed it back to the dark. Laughter rippled through the workers, thin but real. The sound rolled through the mist like sunlight behind the clouds. Still, Whisper stayed restless. His head turned from the square toward the forest. Whisper, low. Who? The dark still listens. Elder Matthias, to herself. Then let it hear our strength. Deep in the forest, Ray crouched beside a black pool that reflected nothing. His wolves circled him, their fur matted from rain, their eyes dim with unease. Nyx. We went too far. The fire woke. Rook. It wasn't us, the storm was chasing. Varek, snarling. We could have taken the hall. Ray, coldly. And burned with it when the dragon woke. You saw what even her name did to the veil. The wisping veil within his chest pulsed faintly, like smoke trying to remember its shape. Wisping veil, soft whisper. You fear the fire. Ray, growling. I fear nothing, but I do not waste strength on the impossible. The pack lowered their heads. Even they could feel it. The tremor of power beneath the earth, the heat under the rain. Ray stared into the black pool until his reflection shimmered into two, his face and the shadows behind it. Ray, let the village believe they've won. We are not finished. The storm is ours now. The veil hummed approval, curling deeper into his chest like a secret. The water stilled. Back in Willowbrook, Elder Matthias stood beneath the elm, watching the last drops fall. Elder Matthias, to whisper, every battle leaves cracks, but cracks let the light in. Whisper, who? Beth, approaching quietly. Do you think he'll come back, Elder? Your son? Elder Matthias smiled, a tired, knowing smile. Elder Matthias. He will return when the realms need him most. He has his father's stubbornness and my sense of timing. Beth, half laughing. Then I hope his timing's better than this storm's. The two women looked up as the clouds rumbled softly, almost like laughter in the distance. Elder Matthias. The war isn't over, but hope doesn't end just because the light's hidden. The lamps flickered, steadying again as the last of the rain fell. For the first time in days, a thin line of dawn pushed through the clouds. Willowbrook breathed together once more. And somewhere far beyond the rift, in a realm where storms could not reach, Alaric stirred, dreaming of home. Chapter 17. The Guardians stir. The rain had ended, but the forest was not quiet. It breathed, slow, deep, and strange. The puddles along the lane rippled without wind, and the mist that crept from the Enchanted Forest glowed faintly green, like the forest itself was waking up. Whisper, soft. Who? The trees hum. Elder Matthias, they are remembering their names. Mia, peering out the gate. The mist is shining. Leo. It's beautiful, and a little spooky. Beth. That's what most miracles feel like at first. A soft tremor ran through the ground. The hedges Thistle had grown rustled, then stilled, bowing toward the forest as if in greeting. From the fog came a slow, steady glow, the shape of towering antlers carved from light. Each beam shimmered like dawn caught in crystal leaves. Elder Matthias, whispering. Erindor. A majestic stag stepped forward, hooves touching the earth without sound. The villagers held their breath as his voice filled the square, not spoken, but felt. Erindor. Balance falters, yet light endures. The grove remembers your courage. He bowed his head once to Elder Matthias, then turned toward the forest, his antlers scattering sparks that floated like seeds. Mia, awed, he bowed to her. Beth. Even light knows when to be polite. A faint hoot echoed overhead, older and wiser than whispers. From the elm's highest branch, a grand owl descended, feathers silver grey and eyes full of galaxies. Whisper, in reverence. Myra. Myra. Keeper of whispers, your call reached even the stars. Guard these hearts well. She brushed a wing against Whisper's crown. His feathers glowed for a heartbeat. The villagers felt a hush that was not silence, but peace. Then, between puddles, a fox appeared, its fur half mist, half moonlight. It flicked its tail, and every dropped lantern relit itself. Silphira, grinning. Paths hide when fear walks first. Let laughter find them again. Henry, grinning back. Then we're safe. I laugh before breakfast. The children giggled, the lamps brightened, and even the storm-stained air seemed to lighten. Behind the well, the ground rumbled once, then steadied as a bear the colour of dark honey lumbered into view. Bramble, bowing. Tholos. Tholos. Little brother of the grove, you have done well. Strength without kindness is stone. You remembered both. He placed one paw on Bramble's shoulder. The earth beneath them stopped trembling. Beside the stream, soft singing rose, a melody of water and wind. A glowing swan drifted across the puddles, each ripple turning into tiny flowers. Nora, whispering, "Aurelia, Aurelia. Healing needs listeners as much as healers." Her song wound through the square, mending cracked shingles, drying damp clothes, soothing shaking hands. From the tunnels beneath the blacksmith's shop came a deep, cheerful growl. A badger pushed through the soil, dusting himself off. Fenric. "Who keeps piling boxes over my doors?" Tobias, laughing. "Sorry, old friend. Didn't know they were yours." Fenric. "You do now. I keep the tunnels safe, same as always." He sniffed once and nodded toward the children. "And keep your boots off the sacred roots." A sharp cry cut through the air. Ilios, the falcon, spiraled down from the clouds, lightning glinting on his wings. Elios. "Realms stir beyond your sky. My wings grow tired carrying news. Let your courage fly instead." He landed on the hall's roof, feathers crackling faintly with static. The storm clouds above trembled, unsure whether to leave or stay. Then the wind shifted. A golden-white griffin appeared on the ridge, eyes fierce but kind. His feathers sparked with stormlight, his lion's mane rippling in the returning breeze. Elder Matthias. "Erin, the griffin guardian of wind and storms." Erin. "I will turn the wind against Ra, but even storms need allies on the ground." He spread his wings, scattering dark clouds, and the villagers felt air rush clean through their lungs. High above him, the clouds burned crimson for a heartbeat, the shape of a phoenix flickering between bolts of lightning. Ember, awed. "Isolde. Isolde," voice like sunlight. "From ashes comes tomorrow. Guard your spark." Her wings vanished into flame, leaving warmth where the cold had ruled. And finally, deep in the forest, thunder rolled not from the sky, but from roots. The mist parted to reveal a vast oak, older than the hills, its bark etched with living runes. The Oak of Wisdom. Ray, you were warned once. Balance breaks, yet roots remember. Do not test the soil that raised you. The forest shuddered. Somewhere in the distance, Ray growled, a sound full of anger and fear alike. Elder Matthias, lifting her staff. "Guardians of the Enchanted Forest, we welcome you home." The runes on her staff lit with every name spoken. Erindor, Myra, Silphara, Tholos, Aurelia, Fenric, Elios, Erin, Isolde, and the Oak of Wisdom. Their lights wove together above Willowbrook like threads of dawn. Mia. They're real. All the stories were real. Leo. Then maybe Alaric's is too. Elder Matthias, smiling. Stories are doors, Leo, and today one just opened. The mist curled back into the forest, leaving the village brighter than before. The guardians faded from sight, but their warmth lingered, woven into every root and roof beam. And far away, Ray lifted his head beneath the black trees and saw the faint glow on the horizon. For the first time, he looked uneasy. Ray, low. The forest wakes against me. The wisping veil whispered back, soft and sharp. Then drown it in shadow before it remembers its song. Chapter 18. The storm turns against Rayi. The wind that had once obeyed Ray no longer listened. It twisted and circled, carrying whispers not his own. The trees moaned with voices older than his memory. The guardians had woken, and the enchanted forest remembered how to fight back. Ray, snarling. Still they rise, still they defy me. Nyx, nervous. The air smells wrong, my lord. Too clean. Varek. The lightning bends the other way now. Ray. Then I'll bend it back. He lifted his muzzle. The wisping veil pulsed in his chest, spreading mist through his fur until he looked half shadow, half beast. Thunder answered his howl, but this time the echo came from the ground. Ray, growling, "Mine!" A flash split the sky, and instead of striking the village, the bolt turned mid-air, striking the trees behind him. The forest glowed for an instant, runes burning on every trunk. Wisping veil, coldly. The roots speak rebellion. Silence them. Ray. I will. He lunged forward, claws raking bark, but each mark healed with light before his eyes. A low rumble spread through the soil. Leaves shivered. The ground lifted slightly as if taking a deep breath. And then the Oak of Wisdom spoke. The Oak of Wisdom. Voice like thunder through stone. Enough, child of rage. The forest you wound is the cradle that bore you. Ray froze. His pack whimpered, pressing low to the earth. Ray, snarling. You dare call me child? I am the storm now. The oak. You are a storm without a sky. Lightning flared again, but softer, gold instead of white. The oak's branches reached across the clearing like arms of light. The oak. You forget the song that made you. Balance given, balance taken. The guardians remember your first howl, how it was pure, how it sought the moon and not the throne. Ray's ears flattened. For a breath, his eyes flickered, blue beneath the red glow. Ray, hoarse. That name. It's gone. The oak. Not gone. Buried. The forest swayed. Each tree whispered the same soft rhythm, a chant older than words. The pack whimpered, pacing. Lirael, softly. It calls to him. Rook. Make it stop, please. Make it stop. The wisping veil tightened around Ray's chest, its smoke twisting like ropes. Wisping veil, furious. Do not listen. Memory is weakness. Ray, straining. Silence. He roared, the sound shaking leaves from the trees. But the wind carried his roar away, back toward Willowbrook. In the great hall, the villagers heard the sound roll across the sky. The lamps flickered, but not from fear this time, from power. Elder Matthias? The forest fights him now. The Oak of Wisdom speaks again. Mia, eyes wide. It can talk. Beth. When the world's in trouble, even trees find their tongues. Outside, the guardians stirred. Erendor stamped his hooves. Light spilled into the lanes. Myra glided above, eyes shining like silver lanterns. Silphara darted between shadows, chasing the frightened ones away. Tholos stood beside Bramble, his growl deep as thunder. Aurelia sang softly over the wounded, her song threading through rain. Fenric thumped the ground, tunnels sealing tight beneath his paws. Elios streaked across the clouds, lightning turning gold at his wingtips. Erin circled above the storm, roaring into the wind until it obeyed him. Isolde shimmered faintly in the clouds, her flame rising to meet the rain without dying. Elder Matthias, to the people. The Guardians have chosen their side. So must we. Henry, grinning despite fear. Well, I'm on whichever side makes less washing tomorrow. The villagers laughed nervously, but their laughter steadied them. Hope always sounded like something small and brave. Back in the forest, Ray stumbled. The ground beneath him split, not from weakness, but from roots rising up. Glowing vines coiled around his legs, not to trap, but to hold him still. The oak. You once guarded life. You can again. The forest forgives those who listen. Ray's teeth bared. His eyes flickered between rage and confusion. Ray, forgive? You chained me with mercy once before. The oak. Mercy is not a chain. It is a door. And it is still open. The wisping veil screamed, a sound of wind through broken glass. Its mist flared, burning black against the gold light. Wisping veil. He is mine! The storm surged violently, trees bending, the oak's light faltering. Lightning struck the clearing again, this time hitting both, Ray and the oak, together. When the flash faded, Ray stood trembling, the veil's smoke coiling like armor, but his paws were scorched with golden light. Ray, breathing hard. You marked me. The oak, softly. No, I reminded you. The wind calmed, the rain softened. The lightning faded into a pale glow far beyond the forest. Ray turned, his eyes burning red again, but his steps less sure. Ray, quiet. You will regret giving me a reason to remember. He vanished into the dark, the wisping veil whispering in fury. In Willowbrook, the storm broke apart into streaks of soft rain. The villagers stepped outside, blinking in the new light. Mia. Did we win? Elder Matthias. No, but the forest remembered how. Beth, smiling. And that's the start of every victory. Above them, Erin soared through the thinning clouds, his wings scattering the last of the thunder. The wind smelled clean again, like pine and promise. Elder Matthias, to herself. The storm has turned, but so has Ray's heart. Whether toward light or shadow, only time will tell. She looked toward the horizon, where faint sunlight kissed the edges of the Enchanted Forest, and whispered a single name. Elder Matthias. Alaric. The forest may need you soon. Chapter 19. The Awakening of Sapphire. The storm had ended, but the world did not rest. A hush spread through Willowbrook, deep, waiting, almost sacred. The air shimmered faintly, the puddles trembling as though hearing a song too low for human ears. Mia, whispering. It's so quiet. Leo. Even the trees are listening. Elder Matthias. Something stirs beneath the forest floor. The heartbeat returns. Ripple lifted his head from the well. Steam rose where the water touched his pores. Thistle's leaves glowed pale green. Ember's feathers flared gold at their edges. Thistle, softly. The roots are calling. Ripple. The river answers. Ember. And the fire knows. A pulse rolled under their feet. Slow, deep, ancient. The light around the forest edge brightened, spreading in waves through every puddle and branch. Elder Matthias, realizing, it is time. The three must act. The villagers gathered in the square, hearts pounding as the air thickened with heat and mist. Thistle, Ripple, and Ember stepped forward until they stood at the gate. Lucy, anxious. Where are they going? Beth, quietly. To finish what began long ago. Nora, the prophecy of leaf, water, and fire. Elder Matthias, solemn. They were never meant to last forever. They are the keys, and the door calls. The guardians lined the path. Erendor, Myra, Silphara, Tholos, Aurelia, Fenric, Elios, Erin, Isolde, and the Oak of Wisdom. Their forms shimmering like lanterns carved from the dawn. Erendor to Thistle. Balance returns through loss. Go bravely. Aurelia to Ripple. Your current becomes her breath. Isolde to Ember. Your flame becomes her heart. The three friends turned toward the forest. The ground beneath them glowed with runes of green, blue, and gold, leaf, water, and fire interwoven. Thistle to Ripple and Ember. We do this together. Ripple. Flow together. Ember. Burn together. Their lights rose into the mist, twisting upward like threads of colour weaving into one shape. The wind swelled, the air rippled. The puddles lifted into spirals of steam and petals. The forest itself seemed to breathe in. Mia, teary-eyed. They're leaving us? Elder Matthias, placing a hand on her shoulder. No, child. They're becoming what they were always meant to be. A roar, soft but vast, rolled through the valley. The clouds flashed silver. The mist turned into wings, colossal, graceful, shimmering with crystal light. A great dragon unfurled in the heart of the Enchanted Forest, scales glimmering like blue glass edged with gold. Lucy, in awe. Sapphire. Beth, breathless. The dragon of light and flame. Elder Matthias, awoken by love, not anger. Remember this moment. Sapphire rose, her wings scattering droplets that turned into tiny glowing gems before falling to earth. Her eyes opened, deep, ancient, and kind, but heavy with sorrow. Sapphire, voice echoing through the trees. Long have I slept to keep the fire from consuming the world. Who calls me now? Elder Matthias, bowing. The forest itself. We needed you, Great One. Darkness walks again. Sapphire lowered her head, her breath warm, wind and light. Sapphire. I feel Ray's shadow still within the roots, and the veil that rides him. Her voice deepened, sorrowful. Sapphire. 3 lights awaken me. 3 hearts now part of mine. I will guard their memory. Above her, in her scales, faint shapes glowed, leaf, wave, and flame, like the smiles of her fallen friends watching from within. In the distance, thunder cracked again, only this time it wasn't the sky. It was Ray's howl, broken and furious. Ray, in the dark. She rises, the traitor of flame. The wisping veil hissed through him, its voice sharp. Wisping veil. Then burn her before she remembers mercy. Ray, snarling. No, let her come. Let the light see what shadow has become. He turned toward the glowing forest, his eyes twin embers in the black. Back in Willowbrook, the villagers stared as Sapphire's silhouette filled the horizon. The wind pressed at their faces. Strong, warm, not cruel. Mia, crying softly. They did it? Thistle, Ripple, Ember? Leo, smiling through tears. They're still here. Just bigger. Elder Matthias, raising her staff. And through them, hope breathes again. The dragon lifted her head, looking toward the distant storm where Ray waited. Her wings shimmered once, spreading light across the whole valley. Sapphire, softly. Old friend of shadow, your time ends where mine begins. She rose into the clouds, her light chasing darkness into the corners of Tenebrous Rift. The forest sang, the guardians glowed, and for the first time in days, the sun broke through. Chapter 20. The Final Dawn. Dawn came without colour. The sky was pale and tired, as if it had run all night and forgotten how to glow. In that hush, Sapphire hovered above the Enchanted Forest, her great wings quieting the wind with every patient beat. Below, Willowbrook gathered in the square, lamps dim in the weak light. Mia, whispering, "Is it over?" Leo, watching the clouds. "It feels like the world is holding its breath." A thin line split the horizon, not sunrise, a tear. Dark mist spilled out, thick and cold, drawing itself into a door where no door should be. Elder Matthias, grim. Tenebrous Rift opens again. Whisper. Who? Beyond the tear, a shape moved, huge, coiled and quiet as a mountain thinking. One ember eye opened. Beth. Small voice. The other dragon. Elder Matthias. Vorak. The tear widened, the valley trembled, and from the portal the black dragon stepped through, scales like nightstone veined with fire, wings that folded shadows into deeper shadows. Vorak. Voice like a cave. I have slept long. Who called me? From the forest edge, Ray stepped forward, the wisping veil curling from his chest in silver-black threads. Ray, bowing, bitter. I did. Wisping veil through him. Break the light. Vorak lifted his head. His gaze found Sapphire. Vorak, low. Then let us finish the old argument. Sapphire's scales brightened, the leaf waterfire sigils glimmering within like 3 brave smiles. Sapphire, calm. Not for anger, for those I carry. She rose. Vorak rose to meet her. They met where the clouds were thin. A boom of wind rolled across the hills. Sapphire's breath was white gold, warm and clean. Vorak's was ember black, heavy and hungry. The air rang like a bell as light and shadow touched. Gareth, shield high. Hold fast. Tobias. Eyes on the roofs. Watch for falling sparks. Isla. Indoors open, blankets and water. Henry. And bread you can hold while you run. The villagers braced. Above, the dragons circled, one a quiet flame, one a sleeping volcano waking up. Then Vorak struck, fast as a falling star. Sapphire caught the blow, light shivering along her wings. Vorak. The forest is soft. Sapphire. The forest is patient. Vorak. Patience breaks. Sapphire. Not while love endures. They clashed again, light flaring, shadow curling. The valley filled with thunder that wasn't thunder. At the tree line, Ray watched, jaw tight. The wisping veil trembled, tugging towards Sapphire like a moth to a brighter flame. Wisping veil, hungry. More power, more vessel. Ray, snarling. No, you stay. The veil did not listen. With a hiss like torn silk, it left Ray, streaking upward as a spiral of black wind. Ray, reeling. Come back. The thread of shadow wrapped Sapphire's chest. For a heartbeat, her light brightened, then shuddered. Sapphire, pained whisper. No! The veil pressed deeper, searching for the warmest fire. Wisping, veil, mine. The change was small at first. Sapphire's glow blinked. On, off, on, like a lantern testing its wick. Then her eyes darkened a shade, sorrow tilting toward storm. Elder Matthias, alarmed. "She's fighting it! Hold, Sapphire!" Mia. "She can win, can't she?" Beth, steady for the children. "Even heroes need help." The guardians answered. Erindor stamped. Lanterns brightened. Myra spread wide wings. Peace steadied hands. Silphara laughed into the wind. Fear loosened. Tholos stood at the front line with Bramble. Aurelia sang over the roofs. Fenric sealed the last tunnel. Elios leapt skyward with a cry. Erin rode the storm, bending lightning toward the empty hills. Isolde flashed once in the clouds, a flame blessing. The oak of wisdom rooted deeper, humming the old song. Erin, calling, "Hold her light!" Elios, "I fly the message, hold!" Above, Sapphire shivered. The leaf waterfire sigils brightened as if thistle, ripple, ember were holding her heart with tiny, brave paws. The veil pushed harder. Wisping veil. "Open, and the world will end for fear. Open!" Sapphire, straining. "I am not your door." Vorak, watching. "You are a mirror. See what you are with shadow inside." He struck. Sapphire faltered. The veil slid deeper. It happened in 3 breaths. First, Erin saw Sapphire dip toward the village and threw himself into her path. The impact cracked the cloud. Erin tumbled, wings askew, but angled the fall away from the square. Erin, to the wind. "Obey. One last time." He crashed beyond the north wall. When the dust cleared, only feathers sparkled, then faded. The wind stilled in a bough. Mia, crying. "Erin!" Leo, teeth clenched. "He saved us." Second, Elios arrowed into the black spiral around Sapphire's chest, tearing at it with light. The veil hissed. Lightning bit the falcon's wing. Elios flared brighter, making a golden path in the sky for a heartbeat, then scattered into sparks that drifted like tiny suns, winking out one by one. Beth, hand over heart. Messenger between realms. Message delivered. Third, the sky broke. Sapphire's wing clipped the edge of the great hall roof. The falling shockwave rippled through the square. Shutters blew in, fences buckled, stones hopped like pebbles in a pond. Gareth. "Shields!" Tobias. "Hold the beam." Bramble. The hall groaned. Cracks raced up its pillars like black ivy. Elder Matthias, to the staff. "Not yet, not while they run." She planted her staff. The runes blazed, leaf, water, fire ringing with a fourth. Home. A dome of soft light covered the square. Stone rained down and melted on its skin like harmless snow. Nora. "She's holding the whole hall." Freya. "For how long?" Elder Matthias, to the people. "Everyone. West Road. Now." Isla. "Children first." Henry. "Bread for the road." Beth. "Hands! Take your partner's hand and go." The village moved, not in panic, but in purpose. The light dome hummed like a lullaby. Above, Vorak and Sapphire whirled, light and shadow smearing the sky. The veil laughed, a quiet knife, wisping veil. "Open." For an instant, Sapphire's eyes went black. Her breath fell. The square shattered. Light failed. The dome broke. The hall's last beam leapt like a skipping stone and vanished into dust. The oak doors flew apart like dry leaves. The guardians stepped in. Tholos, to Bramble. "Little brother, back." He took the falling beam on his shoulders, The weight pressed. The bear smiled at Bramble. Tholos. Strength with kindness. The beam slid down. Where Tholos had stood, only deep paw prints remained, filled with gentle light before fading. Bramble. Small sound. Aurelia swept low, her song lifting a collapsing wall just long enough for Isla and 3 children to run through. The wall dropped softly, like a blanket tucking in. Isla. Tears. Thank you. The last note of Aurelia's song drifted upward and became 3 new stars, faint even in morning. At the well, the ground fractured. Fenric popped up, teeth flashing in a grin. Fenric. This way. Quick feet. Clean paws. He held the tunnel mouth open as families slid through to the west. The last child looked back. Fenric winked and stamped. The roof fell safe behind them. When the dust settled, only a tidy mound remained, patted flat like a careful goodbye. Henry, voice breaking. Keeper of the tunnels? Silphara herded stragglers with laughing nips at heels, while Myra glided low, her eyes steadying shaking hands. Erindor faced the wind. His antlers split a falling shadow into friendly dusk. The Oak of Wisdom bowed his topmost branches, shielding the last cart as it rolled past. Above it all, Sapphire hung, caught between herself and the veil. Vorak circled. Vorak, what are you now? Sapphire, 2 voices, one warm, one cold. We are... The veil tightened. Wisping veil. Mine. A black wave rolled outward. Willowbrook sighed and fell, not in screams, but in soft, breaking sounds. Timbers surrendering, tiles settling, hearths going quiet. At the square's heart, only Elder Matthias remained beneath a shrinking ring of light. Whisper perched on her shoulder, feathers damp. Whisper, small. Who? Elder Matthias, smiling at him. You must fly now. Whisper, not without you. Elder Matthias, with me then. She lifted her staff one last time. The runes brightened into a single star that rose above the ruin and hung there as clear as a bell. Far away, beyond the rift, something stirred, listening. Elder Matthias, to the star. Alaric. The star pulsed, once. She exhaled, relieved. Elder Matthias, to the village, though most had fled. Live, remember, return. The light flared, folding like hands around the last falling stones. When it cleared, the square was empty save for Whisper, circling once, then rising to follow the refugees west. Above, Sapphire jerked, as if woken by a dream of falling. Her eyes flashed blue, just for a heartbeat. Sapphire. Soft. No. The veil hissed, but the moment was gone. Vorak rumbled and withdrew toward the rift's tear, satisfied with ruin. The portal shrank, taking his ember eye with it. The sky at last remembered colour. On the western road, the people of Willowbrook turned and saw their home quiet on the valley floor, flat as a memory pressed in a book. Mia, crying. Elder. Leo. Chin up, voice shaking. She got the message through. I saw the star. Beth, arms around them. We carry her words now. Gareth, to the line of carts. Keep moving. Isla. Count heads. Henry, soft, resolute. Bread will rise again. Nora. So will we. Freya. Together. Above the road, Myra and Erindor glided. Silphara trotted at the wheels, and the Oak of Wisdom stood far away, a dark shape against the new day. Of the Guardians, Erin, Elios, Tholos, Aurelia, and Fenric were gone. Half the circle given so the circle could continue. The wind tugged like a friend's sleeve, urging the line onward. Somewhere beyond the hills, a young man stirred at the edge of another realm, hearing a bell that had crossed skies and stories. Alaric, waking. Mother? And the dawn, finally brave enough, opened gold. Chapter 21. Echoes of the Fallen. The path west was quiet. No one talked at first. The storm had passed, the dragons were gone, and the sky was finally soft and blue again. But Willowbrook was not behind them anymore. Not whole, not standing. The villagers walked in a long line along the hill road. Some carried baskets, some carried blankets, some carried each other. Isla, counting softly. 1, 2, 3. Still with me, little ones? Lucy. Still here. Mia. Still here. Finn. Still here, and holding the good bread. Henry. Gentle. That's emergency bread. Very rare. Highly valuable. Even now, a few of them smiled. They reached a ridge at the edge of the hills. Below them, a dip in the land opened like a cupped hand. Grass, a small stream, scattered trees. Safe enough to stop. Gareth. We hold here for now. Freya. Anyone dizzy, sit. Anyone shaking, sit. Anyone pretending not to shake, sit anyway. Nora. Water's clean. I'll boil some. We need warm. Beth. Blankets in a circle. No one alone. They settled. Not like a feast. Not like home. Like survivors who had decided to keep breathing. A soft wind brushed over the camp. And then, out of that wind, came a familiar flutter of wings. Whisper returned. He swooped low and landed in front of the small fire Freya had lit. His feathers were soaked at the edges. His eyes were red around the rims. He carried something in his talons. It was Elder Matthias's staff. Whisper laid it down with care, like a gift, like a promise. No one spoke for the first few heartbeats. Mia, very small voice. Is she... Whisper tucked his head down, pressing his forehead to the wood of the staff. Whisper, soft, breaking. Who? Freya bowed her head. Isla covered her mouth. Beth pulled the closest of the children against her sides and held them tight. Leo, whispering, she stayed so we could run. Beth, quietly, yes, and we ran. So her last choice means something. Gareth, low. She bought us time. We'll spend it well. Henry, in her name. Nora, and in ours. Freya knelt and touched the staff. The runes along the wood were dim now. Most of them looked like cooled embers. Leaf, water, fire, home. All faint, all but one. At the very top, just below the curve of the grip, one small rune still glowed. Not bright, not loud, just warm. Mia. What does that one mean? Freya smiled through wet eyes. Freya. Hope. The survivors began to move with purpose. Gareth and Tobias built a half circle of simple barriers from fallen branches and carts. A small wall facing the open land. Gareth. We'll keep watch in pairs. Tobias. We'll shout loud if anything moves. Nora and Freya set up blankets close to the warmest spot near the little stream. Freya. Lie down if you're scared. Finn. I'm not scared." His hands were shaking. "Freya, soft. Then lie down if you're brave." He nodded and lay down. Henry unpacked his basket and passed out rolls. "Henry, they're not perfect. The dough didn't get to rest." "Beth, neither did we. We'll forgive them." "Isla, anyone missing a friend, tell me. I'll help you find who you belong with." The villagers answered, slow, tired, honest. "Isla. Good. Then nobody is lost." The air felt different now. Not heavy, like during the siege. Not angry, like during the storm. Not buzzing, like during Sapphire's awakening. This air felt listening. The guardians gathered around the camp. Erindor stood at the edge of the hill, his antlers glowing softly like lanterns hung in branches. Myra perched high on a bent tree trunk, her eyes reflecting every flicker of the campfire. Silfara wove between the villagers, tail brushing ankles, checking, counting, soothing. Far behind them, rooted in the horizon like a promise, the Oak of Wisdom stood silent, watching over everything. But others were missing. No Erin, no Elios, no Tholos, no Aurelia, no Fenric. The gaps hung in the air like unplayed notes. Leo, hugging his knees. Are they coming back?" Silfara slowed beside him. Her voice was a soft laugh, wrapped in sadness. "Silfara, when guardians give themselves, they don't disappear. They become places." Leo. "Places?" Silfara. "Listen for the soft wind when the air is still. That's Erin." Myra. "When messages find you just when you need them, even if no one spoke them aloud, that's Elios." Erindor. "When the ground holds steady under your feet, even though you are certain you'll fall, that's Tholos." Myra. "When kindness warms faster than a blanket, that's Aurelia." Silfara, smiling. "And if you feel safe underground, even in the dark, that's Fenric, guarding the tunnels beneath you." Leo's shoulders went loose. Leo, quiet. "Okay, I'll remember where they are then." Beth, soft. That's what remembering really is. On the far side of camp, Mia stood alone for a moment, watching the eastern sky. Mia. "Elder Matthias said Alaric would come, but she also said no one leaves the village yet." Whisper hopped to her shoulder. Whisper. "Who? Listen." Mia closed her eyes. The breeze shifted across her cheek, warm, carrying something like a voice but not a voice. Far, far away, deeper than dreams, closer than the heart. A young man's voice, faint and stunned. Alaric, distant. "Mother?" Mia's eyes snapped open. Mia, shaky. He heard her. Whisper, soft, proud. "Who?" Mia. "So he's real." Whisper. "Who?" Mia nods. "Then one day, we'll find him, and we'll bring him home." Her voice didn't sound like a child's in that moment. It sounded like a promise. Not far from the ridge, beyond the first row of trees, a great shadow moved and then fell. It was Sapphire. She landed hard in an old meadow, her claws digging furrows into the wet earth. Her breathing was rough, like a storm trapped in her throat. Her eyes flickered, blue, then dark, then blue again. The black stain of the wisping veil still coiled at the base of her throat like a crack in glass. Sapphire, Weak whisper. Thistle. Ripple. Ember. Her chest glowed where their symbols lay. Leaf, water, fire. As if their tiny lights were still holding her together from the inside. Sapphire, pained. I will not break them. I will not break what they saved. Her body trembled. A tear, not water, but light, slid down her scaled cheek and hissed into the ground, turning the grass there to crystal blue flowers. Then she lowered her head and slept. Guarding the meadow, silent and unblinking, stood Myra on a branch and Erindor at her side. Erindor, she is cracked, but not lost. Myra, and so long as she resists, the rift will not fully cross. Back at the camp, the first fires were lit. Not cooking fires, not festival fires, watch fires. Light to say, we are here. Gareth, we'll make new walls. Isla, we'll keep everyone together. Henry, we'll bake again. Freya, we'll heal again. Nora, we'll sleep, even if it's with one eye open. Beth, firm, and we'll tell them who we are, out loud, every night. Mia and Leo sat shoulder to shoulder, a blanket wrapped around both of them. Mia, do you think this is still Willowbrook? Leo thought for a long moment. Leo, Willowbrook isn't just the houses, it's us. Mia nodded once. Mia, good. Then Willowbrook's not gone. Whisper leaned into them, soft and warm. Elder Matthias's staff laid across his talons like a torch that hadn't gone out. The night finally arrived. Not angry, not torn, not poisoned. Just night. As the first stars peeked through the clearing sky, the Oak of Wisdom's voice moved on the wind and reached every ear, young and old alike. The Oak of Wisdom. Roots move when they must. Home is where you carry your fallen. This is not the end of Willowbrook. This is where it grows again. And in the quiet that followed, not fear, not battle, just breathing, hope stayed, not loud, but present, waiting for what comes next. Chapter 22. The Return to the Ruins. The morning came soft and silver. Mist drifted low over the hills, curling between wagons and tents. The villagers had slept little. Some had not slept at all. When the first light touched the camp, Gareth rose and looked east. Gareth, it's time. Isla, quiet. To go back? Beth, to bring her home. The others nodded. No one argued. No one truly wanted to see the ruins, but none could rest until Elder Matthias was safe beneath the elm she had loved. They packed slowly, blankets folded, embers buried, bread wrapped. Whisper flew ahead, guiding them through the morning fog. When they reached the ridge, the valley was still. Where Willowbrook had once breathed with light and laughter, only smoke hung in the air, thin, grey and gentle now, like memory exhaling. The great hall was gone, the roofs bowed, the lanes covered in ash and petals blown from the forest. Yet birds had already begun to perch on the beams. Life, stubborn as ever, was finding a way. Freya, soft. She kept her word. The dome held long enough. Henry, long enough to save us. At the centre of what had been the square, the stones lay in a perfect ring of pale dust. And there, resting within the ring, was Elder Matthias, untouched by ash, her staff beside her. Whisper landed beside her body, wings spread like a blanket. Whisper, low, who? No one moved for a long while. Then Nora stepped forward and knelt. She placed a small wreath of ivy and flowers on the elder's chest. Nora. She brought the forest back to life. The least we can do is give it to her in return. Beth. She'd tell us to stop crying and start planting. Mia, sniffling. Then we'll do both. They lifted Elder Matthias gently and began the slow walk toward the old elm that still stood on the edge of the square. Its leaves burned at the tips, but green at the heart. They laid her at its roots. Gareth. She built this village twice, once from wood, once from courage. Freya. And both times it stood because of her. Isla. Because she believed in all of us. Henry. Then let's believe too. Beth, quietly. The children wrote something. A song. She looked to the small group. Mia, Leo, Lucy, Finn, who held hands in a circle. They nodded, nervous and brave. Mia, beginning softly. Where the roots remember rain, and the wind still calls our names, we will carry light again. Elder, guide our flame. Leo, joining. When the hall is gone and broken, when the roofs forget the sky, we will keep the words you've spoken and lift them high. All together, their voices rose. Though the road is far and bending, though the night is long to roam, hope is not an ending. Hope is home. As the last note faded, Whisper placed the staff across her chest. The final rune, the one that had glowed for hope, brightened once more, gentle and gold, then sank into the wood like sunlight disappearing into calm water. A single beam of light fell through the clouds, striking the elm's crown. The leaves shimmered, and a small cluster of blossoms opened where none had been before. The villagers stood together in silence. Then, faintly, they heard a sound from deep within the forest, a howl, low, wavering, neither cruel nor kind. Mia, whispering, "Ray?" Leo, "He's still out there." Gareth, "Maybe, maybe not." Beth, "Maybe he's trying to remember who he was." No one knew. Some said the veil had burned him away. Some said he had vanished into Tenebrous Rift. Others whispered that he now wandered alone, no longer wolf, not yet forgiven. But Elder Matthias would have said this: even the darkest road bends toward the dawn. Erindor bowed his head. Myra hooted once, low and solemn. Silfara traced a circle in the ash with her tail. The Oak of Wisdom, watching from afar, rustled a single line through the wind. The Oak of Wisdom. Roots remember. So will we. When night returned, the villagers lit one last fire at the base of the elm. Henry, for warmth. Beth, for her. Mia, for all of them. The flames flickered, soft and steady. Whisper perched on the branch above, watching the sparks climb into the stars. Nora, quietly, "Tomorrow?" Gareth, "Tomorrow we move east of the forest, start again." Freya, "New walls, new roofs, same heart." Isla, "Willowbrook lives wherever we build it." They stayed until the fire dimmed and the first star rose. And far away, hidden by shadow, a single pair of eyes watched the glow fade, red fading to amber, amber fading to grey. Ray, to himself, "Balance. The forest remembers." Then he turned and walked into the mist, the wind closing gently behind him. Chapter 23. The Rebuild of Willowbrook. The sun rose golden over the hills, soft and forgiving. Dew clung to the grass, and the air smelled of new beginnings. The survivors walked with tired feet but steady hearts. Behind them lay the valley that had once held Willowbrook. Ahead stretched the deep green veil of the Enchanted Forest, glowing gently as if inviting them onward. Beth, adjusting her shawl. She'd say this was the right direction. Freya, east of the forest, west of despair. Henry, grinning. And north of my baking supplies, wherever they ended up. Laughter rolled softly through the group. Even the children smiled again. Mia, holding the staff. We'll find the place, won't we? Gareth. We will. Willowbrook always finds itself. Whisper flew ahead, circles widening, his feathers flashing gold in the new light. Whisper, calling. Who? Come. I see water, trees, open ground. The forest welcomed them like an old friend. The guardians who remained, Erindor, Myra, Silfara, and the Oak of Wisdom, walked or drifted beside the line of travellers, unseen by most, but felt by all. Myra, softly to Silfara. Their courage grows faster than roots. Silfara. Roots follow courage. Erindor. And courage follows loss. They came to a wide clearing where sunlight pooled between tall birches. A silver stream curved like a smile through the grass. The earth here felt alive, warm, steady, untouched by shadow. Nora, breathing deep. It feels right. Freya, like the ground's been waiting. Isla, we could build again here. Henry, then let's start before my stomach changes its mind. He dropped his pack and began clearing stones, his sleeves rolled to his elbows. Beth, smiling. Bread before bricks, Henry? Henry, motivation fuel? Gareth, you're hopeless. Beth, he's hope, close enough. By midday, the first shelters had begun to rise. They weren't grand, branches, rope, and old cloth, but they were upright and full of laughter. Children carried water from the stream. Adults shaped makeshift walls. The forest hummed around them, gentle and bright. Mia, planting a small wooden sign. New Willowbrook. She carved the name into the sign with a pocket knife Tobias had found. Leo, smiling. Looks good there. Mia, it'll look better when it's real. Beth, then let's make it real. The villagers cheered softly. Freya began a tune, low and steady, while Nora passed out fresh water and Henry produced warm rolls from an oven of stones. Whisper perched on Mia's shoulder, watching proudly. Whisper. Who? She'd be pleased. Mia, gazing east. She's here. That night, the first campfire of New Willowbrook burned bright beneath the stars. Around it, the villagers sat shoulder to shoulder, sharing stories of the old village and dreams for the new. The guardians lingered nearby, their lights flickering like fireflies. Erindor. Their roots return to soil unbroken. Myra. And the soil remembers love. Silfara. Then Willowbrook is never truly gone. At the edge of camp, the Oak of Wisdom's voice drifted through the trees, deep and calm. The Oak of Wisdom. From ash to ember, from ember to light, the village rebuilds in the arms of night. Guard what you cherish, and learn from the sky. The higher you dream, the farther you'll fly. The words carried on the wind, gentle and clear. Mia to Leo. From the sky, Leo. Maybe that's where Alaric is. Mia. Or where we'll go next. As the fire dimmed and sleep crept close, Whisper stirred and looked up. The clouds parted. High above, a faint golden trail shimmered across the stars, like a bridge of light stretching from the forest into the heavens. Whisper. Quiet. The skyward passage. Mia followed his gaze. Mia, whispering. Then the story isn't over. Beth, half asleep, smiling. Stories never are. They just wait for morning. The fire cracked softly. The wind turned warm. Somewhere in the distance, the oak's branches whispered to the stars, and the light of the skyward passage flickered brighter, leading toward a new dawn and a new adventure. End of Willowbrook. Adventure, Book 4, The Battle for the Village. To be continued in Book 5, The Skyward Passage. The end. And so, as Willowbrook falls not in fear, but in courage, and its people leave behind the ruins of the home they once knew, carrying only memory, loss, and hope into the unknown, something begins to change within the Enchanted Forest, where after the battle, ancient forces long hidden start to awaken, and deep among the trees, the first signs appear as forgotten gateways reveal themselves once more. The Ether Gate, forming not in the sky, but within the forest itself, woven into the very heart of the land, and calling them forward towards something greater, something beyond everything they have ever known, guiding them toward a new realm waiting to be discovered, a path that will lead them into the next chapter of their journey. The Skyward Passage awaits.